So, guys, welcome to the Game Plan series. We are on our session 9 of how to look at the markets. What are the themes that are prevailing? Where are the opportunities coming up during this week on the next 10 days or so? And what should you be focusing on? That's the idea of the game plan. I strongly believe that there is research, financial research, business research that can help you make smarter decisions. So we bring in some research for you. Of course, the discussion also is open in case you have ideas, themes, stocks that you wish to discuss in this session. You are most welcome to do that. We have a certain structure we want to follow. During this particular discussion, if you have a stock or if you want to contribute to that theme, please do so. Else, please wait till we complete certain themes that we already have lined up. And we will spend some time on how to look at certain sectors today. So there will be, I think, very few we have because the week was very small. So what we're going to do is spend time on sectors, specific companies. If there is some analysis that goes around it, we will do that. So about me, Sumit Dora, I'm a CFA charter holder carrying 20 years of experience in this area, and I am been following the US and the Indian markets for both cash and derivatives. So pretty much into this for a long time. I hope you take benefits out of this experience. And we also have very senior people like Divakar who are also doing this, and now Vikram, he's in the same area for us. So we'll keep bringing in experts for discussion purposes and to learn from them. Guys, a bit of a disclaimer that we always put up. Most of you know, it's whatever we discuss is from an education point of view. We're not giving out any recommendation. At the end of the day, your risk belongs to you. You should be doing analysis of your own. What analysis? How do we do the analysis? This is a totally separate discussion that we do in our courses, specific to technicals, specific to options and all. But at the end, I really suggest you should be doing your own analysis. So how we want to do this is just say your name and I agree, and then we'll continue. So we'll go one by one, starting with Mr. Abhishek. Yeah, Abhishek, go ahead. Anay, if you can hear me.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Anay Bhanushali and I agree.
Thank you. Abhishek, are you back? Else we'll move to Divakar.
Hi, I'm Deepak Fertilizer and I agree.
Thank you. Rahulji.
Hi, this is Rahul Lakanpal. I agree with the disclaimer.
Thank you. Shailendraji, welcome, sir.
Welcome, Sumit and all friends. Sharan Shukla, I agree.
Thank you. Vikramji.
Hi, this is Vikram Singh, and yes, I agree.
Great. So, guys, we will look at a picture on the global front. We'll look at how Nifty is positioned over there and so on. I quickly want to uh, show you this picture of what's happening across the globe. So, typically, Asia is not doing that well. Even America is on Thursday, Friday being a holiday, I think, in most markets. We don't have the data, it did not open. The America's indices that you see have been putting pressure, and it's probably because of the bond yields that are going up. So interest rates going up, bond yields again, in fashion. So if people are now trying to tackle inflation, if governments are now looking at inflation as a very big factor, uh, the only way to curtail it is probably going back to the original tool that they used to have. Now start increasing interest rates. Now we are already seeing bond yields going higher and higher. As a result, you will see markets under pressure. And last week we did see a lot of pressure in America, in Asia, and Europe. So I would not be surprised if that pressure continues for the next week also. So that's what's the tilt that we are seeing. On the commodity front also, if you see, crude oil is going back above 110 again. So that still is an indicator suggesting that inflation will continue, and inflation is playing a very big role already because the rates have been kept low across the globe, and this Brent price is a big input to all the commodities, day-to-day grocery items, or anything that we see around that we need to purchase, is impacting their prices. What I still find interesting that coal prices continue to rise again this week, and overall, if I see on a year-on-year basis, they are nearly touching 230%. I mean, that's the rise that you can see in coal. Following that is natural gas, and we'll spend some time on that also, and nickel. So Coal India, I'm continuing again to be bullish. There is scope enough in that stock. If you wish, we can have a look at the technical part also. What I constantly keep check on is that whenever there is a fall, there's a big, I would say, pressure on Nasdaq. You'll always see this kind of a formation where Nasdaq, when it falls, it's falling a bit too much than the others. And even in India, if I show you where does the tech index fit in. I mean, you guys remember when we started the game plans series probably 9 weeks ago, tech used to be here, somewhere closer to metal or so, right? It started to come down, and now it's probably one of the lowest. When I say one of the lowest, this chart is showing you the gap from the 52-week high. So now the gap is increased to 15%. Now that's a lot. That's a lot. Think about it. The two major contributors to Nifty that could take it up are IT and banking. Now, where do they fit in this larger scheme of things? Banks are also pretty low. I mean, they are showing a gap of more than 10%. Financial services are also low, and now tech. And if these two sectors continue to stay low, that means chances of Nifty going further above 18,000 and on all is also going to be quite weak. Here are some of the reasons that you should be knowing. Already, if you see, let me show you the picture basically here. So if I compare the performances of sectors starting from April 2020, that's where the rise after COVID began. The sectors which have shown maximum increase, I mean, 3 times the return, is metal, 2.5 is power, and then comes IT. It seems that metal still is ruling. More recently, in the month of February, March, you can see power rising like crazy. I mean, you can see the difference. A 30% increase probably has come in this last 1 month itself in the power sector. And we know companies like Tata Power, Adani Power, Adani Transmission, some renewables, all these companies have been rising like crazy. And we don't even know where do they stop. That's really, keeps the market in a surprise that how is it still rising. Maybe there are very few sectors to park the money for the DIIs, because we're going to check where the DIIs or the FIIs are putting their money. But have a look. If I show you a 2-year performance, metal is obviously still ruling. Power has become the new entrant here, and IT is kind of coming down. So IT is definitely not the flavor. Here is the more shorter view. This is the 1-year view that I'm emphasizing here. Metal was rising earlier. Now power has taken over. Media, we saw some activity with Z and Sony merger with PVR, Inox, and all. But I don't think it's one of the favorite sectors or so. Telecom, probably, if you see, with the Bharti Airtel kind of stock rising, this I feel, because it's now considered infrastructure. Telecom is equally important as roads and other infrastructure. So this could probably rise further, and I am not really hoping that you could see auto or bank nifty, or for that matter even pharma, coming up to these levels where our favorite sectors like power and metal are right now ruling. So this fall has been there since January itself, the tech fall, and the crisis in Russia or Ukraine has basically put a question mark on the growth of European companies, which are basically one of the major clients of these internet services companies. So whether we are talking about HCL, Infosys, TCS, and so on, right? So these are going to be dragging it down. Plus, with inflation in place, and Diwakar, I think you would agree, this is your favorite topic. IT companies never grow when inflation is rising. So we could see a switch from growth stocks to value stocks and more durables, basically, that are influenced by inflation, and where it's easier to pass on inflation costs to the customers. So real estate and ultimately financial services, they should rise up. For now, energy and utilities are the only places where investors are making their gains. So any thoughts, any
If you could,
observations on this one?
if you could just go to slide 12,
Yeah.
I think that sort of brings into context what's happening globally, right? So two things
Yeah.
are happening. One, tech-related stocks are getting hammered simply because their valuations are high. But what's
Mhm.
also happening is countries whose debt to GDP ratios are very high are also getting hammered.
Hmm.
So maybe
How do we check that? Do we know a site to? Is it trading
uh,
economics again?
I think trading economics should give that. But what I do know is like the US, Europe, and Japan have very high debt to GDP ratio.
Hmm.
I mean, Sri Lanka also was one of
Oh,
those
wow.
cases.
What are we
Um,
looking? So Japan, you're saying, is the highest. It's
yeah.
257. That is super super high. So they are
So
being uh, They are being hammered more. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, so their bonds are getting hammered more, right? And
Hmm.
what's happening in Japan is so the Japanese central bank has said that we will not let interest rates rise beyond 0.25%, or the bond
Hmm.
yields to go beyond 0.25%. So now the Japanese yen has a direct impact on Indian markets. Huh? So when Japanese yen depreciates, I've always seen Indian markets rally. Huh?
Hmm.
And especially stocks like Maruti rallies when yen depreciates. So
Hmm.
you might want to see certain opportunities coming up in this space
Mm-hmm.
um, when when developed market central banks are doing QE.
Hmm.
So we have US and Europe doing quantitative tightening now, but then a whole lot of other central banks are doing easing, which is Japan, China. They're all easing. And all that money will come to emerging markets like India.
Okay.
So I do feel that probably US and European markets might sell off, but India might not sell off more.
So, but can Indian markets rise in this kind of an environment?
Yeah, I think selectively there should be. I mean, if you see the last 10, 15 days, the
Hmm.
market has not gone anywhere, but individual sectors have outperformed. Like metal sector has outperformed,
Right.
power has outperformed, right?
Yeah.
Um, banks banks have been an interesting story. So this doesn't give you the full picture. Huh? So financial services is down from 52-week high is because of the COVID effect. Huh? Whereas tech is
Hmm.
falling because of the inflation and
Valuations.
high valuation effect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you go and look at banks, in fact,
So,
right
so
now, if
if
you look
if I just have a look at CNX financial services, that's what you're saying. Uh, I'll take a longer term view here. See, so we have seen it coming up, right? and probably it's doubled, just like Nifty. So essentially, you're saying this is going to be the first sector that comes up again, and then the ripple effect will be seen in maybe in the PSUs and the private banks later on, right?
Yeah. So the CPSE index has been outperforming, which
Hmm.
has a couple of PSU banks as well. Uh,
Yeah. So, but it is because of the utilities and energy companies that are built in here, right?
yeah. So basically, the old economy
Hmm.
companies are coming back
Hmm.
because of all this that's happening, right? Inflation. PSUs do well when there is high inflation.
Hmm.
So like Coal India will suddenly become the favorite of everybody now.
I mean, it is, right? If I just show you, it's been sitting low for a very, very long time. And I think now how it's just making that turn, after, I mean, it's always been giving good dividends. So while it was coming down, the dividend story panned out very well for Coal India, right? And
Yeah, and if you
now
look
when
at
it starts to rise,
if you look at the situation right now, right? So we have hit our summer peak
hmm,
uh, 1 month before normal.
hmm, hmm,
Okay, so electricity consumption has peaked in the month of April, where it was supposed to
yeah,
peak in May or June, right? May usually,
hmm,
uh,
hmm,
and we are not able to sustain it. We are going for load shedding because we do not have enough coal. So I'm sure
hmm.
Coal India, the government will act fast and do something so that Coal India can increase its capacity. So that,
Sure.
I mean, it's going to be a big issue in the next 1 or 2 months. And
So
usually these kind of things.
Coal India has been having good quarters. If you see performance, the last five, the three have definitely been good. I still see the PE ratio not too bad for an entry, And if I give you the larger picture here, let me remove this financial performance and show you this. So we have some Fibonacci numbers listed on the chart, but beyond that, if you see how it's making the turn, it's obviously stuck in this blue zone, which is the supply zone that we are currently seeing, and that's why the inverse hammers are being formed. Once, I mean, the first target I strongly believe is somewhere in this area plus 200s, but once it crosses this zone, the next target is towards 260 and so on. So I would be surprised, as you rightly said, if there is enough demand that comes in and the stock starts to begin rising, this particular area will be covered very fast. And I I also believe the fundamental story will further be strengthened. India needs to be more self-reliant, and whether coal continues to be the prime raw material, I think, to generate power till we start switching to more renewables and all. So this could be a very interesting story because we've been discussing this in the past. For India to reduce its import bill, we need to have more power, and if electric vehicle needs to be a success in our country, infrastructure around power needs to be built in, and lead among them is continues to be Tata Power, Adani Power, and so on. And there has been news of these guys doing a great job. I mean, doing their joint ventures and tie-ups here and there. So that could be a story that we should look at. In fact, I have some other, within energy, I have some focus area. We should look at that also because. I think when we talk about India and energy consumption, it's also related to gas, right? So we are switching to CNG. We are also switching to and we obviously use piped gas also. So how does that span out? What does it mean for individual stocks? We'll look at that. And before I go into, let me continue with one of the theme which I introduced last time, and I think Divakar, you took advantage of that, which was fertilizers. So fertilizer, we said, there is something going around. RCF, we had discussed. Chambal fertilizers, we had discussed. They were rising even in the previous week, right? So when I saw the numbers this week, they were quite encouraging, although the overall market had gone down. Now, there was news which suggests that this because of this war, you could see the fertilizer subsidy bill going up. And any now it's like any time, maybe on Monday or Tuesday, the news could come that the government has decided to take on the additional cost of producing fertilizers. Basically, if you see, Russia continues to be the largest exporter of fertilizers, and India continues to be one of the leading importer of fertilizer. And since we have a huge agriculture sector, May being the month where the new crop needs to be set, and you need fertilizers for that. I think there's a kharif season, and for fertilizers, if you see, gas continues to be a major component of manufacturing. So 70% of the cost of a fertilizer is because of the gas. And Ukraine, because of this crisis, the prices internationally of gas have gone up. And if now India has to provide the fertilizers to the farmers, it is going to be primarily domestically, and these are the local players that we have in our country. But for them to produce fertilizers at a good price, the raw material, which is the gas and other supplies like ammonia and so on, who is going to foot that bill? I think if it's the government that takes on, you could see these stocks rising even further, because right now a cap on this subsidy is clouding the earning prospects of these companies. So I am pretty confident if we keep a watch on this space, if there is some news that the government has decided to take on or increase the fertilizer subsidy for this year, although they had sanctioned 1.25 lakh, but what we do need is 2 lakh crores. So that's a lot of I think an additional 75 0.75 lakh crore that we are talking about. And if that's the case, then I think there is a lot of demand, that the margins are going to be kept intact for these fertilizer companies, and the stocks go up. Now, the related news is, as I mentioned, the challenge we discuss is the rise in gas prices, and we are talking about natural gas prices. If natural gas prices are increasing, I noticed something else. All our gas provider companies, stocks of these were also rising. I mean, you look at these numbers, ONGC, Oil India, and so on, right? They are moving up 4 to 5% intraday, right? And if I show you what now the brokerage firms are telling, what could be the targets, all of them, most of them, let's say, have a buy rating around them, and this is the latest research coming in. You all IGL, MGL, ONGC, GAIL, Gujarat Gas, Petronet, Adani Total Gas, I think all of them are very well, positioned to provide gas. They have distribution, I would say, infrastructure and all. So if these prices go up, and I think more recently we would have seen prices of gas, even domestic gas cylinders, or those who purchase in bulk, their prices have been shot up. So as and when prices will be passed on, higher prices will be passed on to the customers, these stocks will go up. So commodity cycle, I think it's bringing some opportunities. Of course, there is more havoc and inflation challenges. But as a investor, how do you take advantage? I've just shown you this. Keep a watch on this fertilizer stocks. Keep a watch on these natural gas stocks. I think this is where right now most of the FIIs, DIIs will be focusing. Yes, any thoughts, any comments? So I see some more people also joining in. Welcome, Ashmita. Welcome, Monil. Good to have you.
The point is coming in my mind, Samarji. That's okay that the fertilizers as the gas are becoming the critical areas to focus
I'm
on.
sorry, your voice is not clear, sir. Come again.
The fertilizer and gas are becoming the critical areas to be focused on.
Yes.
And they are the correct things you highlighted. But the thing is that how much and when all have they risen to that level?
Sir, if I show you where IGL is right now as a stock, monthly performance मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ, ठीक है? अपने पीक से ये आधा आ चुका था रफली, ओके?
Okay.
तो ऊपर जाने का तो स्कोप है। इससे बेटर अगर आपको चाहिए तो MGL आप देखिए, महानगर गैस। आई थिंक ये तो एक ऐसी स्टेज पे है, इट इज एट द सपोर्ट लेवल, इट्स अ लॉन्ग टर्म सपोर्ट लेवल दैट इट इज हिट, और यहाँ से अगर ये ऊपर चला जाए आई वुड नॉट बी सरप्राइज बिकॉज देयर इज अ स्टोरी अराउंड इट। ऑफ कोर्स द बेटर प्लेयर्स लाइक ONGC, they have been rising already, and if you probably want to stay in for the rest of the year in this stock, you will see the jumps coming in, right? But there is a clear story that what's happening right now. Gas is a very important, I would say, energy.
No, everything accepted. Only that this thing, what you're showing us now, the peak came in which year? Which month is this?
This peak is in 2014, sir.
14. After that,
Yes.
you came. This is the bottom is 2020, is it?
Yeah. Most stocks have made their bottom in the April-March 2020.
2020. So from 14 to 20, it remained in this zone of consolidation phase.
No,
Before
sir.
that.
For 2 years, it is probably 320 से लेके 120 तक. There's a further fall here, but this was more like how do we get the big guys or smart money attracted? यहाँ पे मैं मानूंगा कि it got a bit under valued, and that's why.
Forget this time of COVID. Between this 214 to just now, you see two toppings out here.
I'm sorry, come again at 240.
At this,
ये critical area है, and then I'm marking this as a zone. इसको cross करना, अगर see it has been hitting this blue color zone, which is, I would say, it's a monthly supply, not once, twice, and this is the third time, right? But this time the strength that is coming in, look at the number of green candles, look at the volume with which ONGC is rising, and if there is a story around it, international natural gas prices की अगर मैं बात करूं, this is nothing short of what coal has experienced, right? तो coal हमारा 220-230% rise कर चुका है 1 year में. Natural gas is also 175% rise, तो उसमें भी आ चुका है. Already आ चुका है.
And the effect of it, now you see after two topics, this is the third topic it is heading towards. So what I was coming to, when these two topics were there, at that time we had overvalued our Nifty to 18604. Everything was considered overvalued.
Yes.
Got it. So when this is the third topic, it is heading towards the same limit. And Nifty is playing with a margin of 1,000 points.
Right.
Okay. So if it touches this supply zone, this is a supply zone, no?
This is a supply zone, yeah.
Correct. So when it touches this supply zone, it will be touching for the third time, but it will not be overvalued.
And our experience, if you've done the technical analysis course, आपको भी याद होगा, sir, as and when a stock keeps hitting a particular zone, it weakens the zone. अभी दो बारी तक तो संभाल लिया इस zone में. When I say संभाल लिया, meaning there was a bear sitting here, right?
Correct.
Who was always capable of selling enough quantity, as a result of which the stock used to come down. Now, when I said, look at the chart, this time the bulls are coming. Bulls ने थोड़ा सा पीछे से start किया है, and they are coming with a bigger strength. It's like when you are hitting the door with a wooden log. जितना पीछे जाओगे उतनी ज़्यादा force से आओगे. And look at the volume, look at the green candles. I have no doubt इस बार Coal India, ONGC अपने monthly supplies को तोड़ते हुए ऊपर जाएंगे. So you could see opportunities here. So try to analyze these companies. Try to analyze these companies. I think there two, three names that they've already given. Yes, sir.
Can there be any relationship between these two themes, which I have counted them in the strongest themes of the present time, to Nifty? Because Nifty is dependent on only two, bank Nifty as well as IT.
इतनी बड़ी contributions है नहीं इसलिए. So when we are, as Divakar was also saying, while Nifty was going down, let me show you this. So while Nifty was going down, where are people parking the money? Nifty तो शायद sideways और नीचे जा रहा है, but कुछ index हैं जो ऊपर जा रहे हैं. And look at power index. It's going up like crazy. In fact, हमारे पास एक energy index भी होना चाहिए. So let me check energy.
अच्छा, जब निफ्टी नीचे जा रहा है तो जब आपको पावर है.
Yes. So what is happening here is look at energy index, which includes, I think, power. So your oil, natural gas, coal. It includes all of them, right? ये तो ऐसा लग रहा है रुकने का नाम ही नहीं ले रहा. And if I look at the GAN lines, अभी इसमें थोड़ा स्कोप तो और भी मेरी तरफ से तो है. If I have drawn it correctly. So while Nifty is still figuring out कि क्या होना चाहिए टेक में, बैंकिंग में, जब तक वॉर खत्म नहीं होती शायद निफ्टी को काइंड ऑफ शेकी ही मान सकते हैं. बट द बेनिफिट ऑफ द वॉर अगेन एंड अगेन, एज आई सेड, जहां पे कहीं पे भी क्राइसिस हो रही है वर्ल्ड में, there are probably some companies that are getting some benefits out of that. And because of the war, commodity prices have shot up and energy prices have shot up. So who's taking advantage? आपके सामने ही है for the last 2 months how this index has grown. So an index growing by 6.7% 1 month. अभी तो month खत्म भी नहीं हुआ है and energy index is up by nearly 9%, right? So what can you interpret? Where is the money going? It's probably in these sectors. Make sense?
Yeah.
Then again, you might call me a sadist, but क्या करें? Crisis brings opportunity. अब श्रीलंका में problem चल रही है, so who's getting advantage of that? So we saw that ports in Sri Lanka are getting too congested, and ships are being, I think, now they are being switched, or maybe the trans carriage is what the word that they use. The further movement of the goods that used to happen from Sri Lanka to the rest of the world, जहाँ से भी आ रहे हैं, Colombo was used as a port. Now Indian ports have taken over because there is so much of a challenge. There is a crisis going on in Sri Lanka. So who takes advantage of the traffic at Sri Lankan ports? It is again the Indian ports, especially Kochi and all. What we saw that there are companies who manage ships. They operate ports and manage ships. They are building ships. They are repairing ships. तो वो companies क्या 1 week performance आप सामने देखिए. There is a stock by the name of Garden Reach. There is Mazdon Dock, shipbuilding, coaching, shipyards. I would say these are the prominent ones that come to my mind. But beyond that, Shipping Corporation of India, and I want to spend some time on this chart also. It's the largest Indian shipping company. It operates around 1/3 of Indian tonnage, and it's servicing both the national and international routes. तो SCI का अगर मैं आपको स्टॉक परफॉर्मेंस दिखाऊं, इस मंथ में it's moved up 16%. What has happened on Wednesday? So there was first kick that came in on 3rd of March, which is a previous month, and उससे पहले ऊपर जाने की वॉल्यूम तो मुझे नहीं दिख रही थी. So supporting this jump, the next jump has probably come on the last trading day of the previous week, which is Wednesday, and ये हमें दिख रहा है. There was associated news that I have shown you. If I show you further कि कहाँ स्टॉक जा सकता है, there is ample scope, I believe. कहाँ से स्टॉक नीचे चला था? So I think somewhere exactly previous crisis के आसपास the stock, I think, had moved up and then it came down. It never saw 200 again, and it took literally 10 years for it to make this kind of a move. and show some kind of signs of reversals. And after, I think if I follow the GAN lines, अगर यहाँ से ये ऊपर जा रहा है, by the way, the area which I have marked here is, and you will agree, it used to be a multi-year resistance. So this blue area used to be the supply, monthly supply. It acted like a resistance in December 2015. Again, it acted like a resistance in December 17. It tried to stop Shipping Corporation in 2021. But once it is moved up, once it has crossed this, now the same level acts like a डिमांड जोन. एंड आई एम नॉट सरप्राइज अगर इस टाइप की ये मूवमेंट आई है यहाँ से, this time it should further lead it up to the next supply zone. अब इसका इस जोन का काम काफी हद तक खत्म होता दिखाई दे रहा है, and this could be the next level somewhere around 180 170 levels. And if there is good news around it, that overall India's trading activity, international trading activity is improving. Colombo, being the immediately neighbor port, has some challenges. So who takes advantage? It's probably again India taking that. So anybody, any thoughts on this? This is again a hypothesis. Of course, news can be bent. If the crisis gets over in Sri Lanka, this might not happen very quickly. But I feel at the time when Nifty was going down, if there are some pockets where we are seeing growth happening, I think we should follow that. We should not try to speculate, but follow the trend.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? So Nifty is not going anywhere. IT is going down. FMCG is going down. Consumer durables is going down. And then you have this whole set of sectors. Even auto is going down. Now we probably need to
Let
spend
me
some
show
time to
you.
understand auto.
So this week, where is my sector movement slide? So right now, yeah, metal has come down, so performance is slightly deteriorating. FMCG is still good, by the way. I think not as good as power or energy, but still it's in this green box. If the India consumption story picks up, I think that's great news for FMCG. I think again, what's dependent here is our company is able to pass on that higher raw material
I
cost.
think that's the biggest question, right? Who will be able to pass on the cost and who will not, right?
Correct.
And if you look at that space, it's probably
All discretionary expenses. So auto continues to be discretionary, right? And you can delay that kind of spend. If not this year, maybe next year or blah blah, right? So auto will probably sit here. I am not surprised. At max, it'll keep vibrating between these two boxes, which is basically these are the laggards, these are the leaders. This is performance deteriorating. This is performance improving, right? So I don't see it immediately jumping to leaders anytime sooner. Um, I think there could be similar. So auto story and real estate probably has the same challenge, right? So you can delay that kind of a consumption. IT,
yeah. I'd probably put reality along with financial services because
hmm,
of COVID, there hasn't been of value in that sector. But I think going forward, probably if you look at 6 months down the line, which sectors would have outperformed, I think it would be the metal, financial services, and reality.
yeah,
Metal, financial services, reality, and energy. Yeah, I think these four sectors would have definitely, or at least that's where the valuation looks interesting. All the other places,
yeah.
uh, valuations are not interesting at all.
Vikram ji, what are you buying for your clients? Which sector? Vikram, are you
Hello.
able to hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, our PMS is long only, yeah. So we don't really go by the short term movements in the market, yeah. So, but yes, थोड़ा सा FMCG में we have added some stocks and financials also gradually, but we are long only. So Pankaj is a very very sorted person and he doesn't take short term calls. So, but most of our calls that stocks that we have bought in the past, they've been multi-baggers, and our timings have been good, fortunately. And the fund, and I take pride in saying that my PMS has outperformed all the mutual funds.
Wow.
So
तो
yeah,
अगर
so
लॉन्ग टर्म पर्सपेक्टिव बोला जाए इंडिया के लॉन्ग टर्म में डू यू सी द पावर स्टोरी बीइंग intact as a growth story
yeah,
with
but
Nifty, energy
not
and power?
not concentrating with the stock movements in the recent, we have seen. But yes, long term story is intact. India is where will the money come? Like you guys were talking about, China easing, and even Japan also easing. And if we have, if we are flush with funds, then where else which are attractive, and stable countries to invest, in Europe or in Asia, anywhere you
Mhm.
talk about. I think India is very well placed, and I think we are in a sweet spot. So, and anyways, we are very small. We are like 3 trillion, market, which is very very small portion of global money. So and FIs have fled us. So when they come back, I think we will see new highs. I don't see. I think we are very
Yeah.
bullish on India story.
So good you brought up that point. See, FII keeps changing the viewpoint, and whenever we've seen some rise in Nifty. This is if I show you focus on these 3 last days. This is what it was in the previous week. So how FIIs were acting like sellers, and DIIs just managed to control that fall. I mean, so that we don't have crashes, immediate crashes in our Nifty index. But clearly what we are seeing is whenever Nifty is trying to make a high, FIIs become sellers, big time sellers. So we clearly know DIIs are maybe not right now capable of taking the market up, to 19,000 and all. We need the support of FIIs, and I agree with you, Vikram. If FIIs now still feel that there is some hope and scope, maybe Nifty does not go up, but I do see certain sectors and index, that they are still interested in, and we should be also looking at it. Now I don't think Nifty uh, is a is a very good reflection at current stage because of how the composition is in that index. uh, we should be focusing on certain sectors and specific stocks to take advantage of the current situation. So if I show you what were the FIIs and DIIs buying in this last week. On Monday, they were buying a lot of the cement stocks. Cement, I have been talking again about infrastructure being, again, focus for the Indian government. So you need cement and Ambuja Cement, ACC. Of course,
Maybe,
there is a story around this,
Sumit,
these two guys. Yes.
maybe I think one of the things which probably Vikram could throw a light on,
Hmm.
and I think one of the areas which we are also grappling with is, so maybe one year ago our portfolio was focused on non-cyclical kind of stocks, you know,
Hmm.
like power, IT, um, you know, but now it seems as if holding such non-cyclical stocks is not helping. I mean, we all want to have a long-term portfolio, right? Just buy a stock and
Yeah.
hold it, but it's not allowing us. The market condition is not allowing us to do that,
Okay.
um, right? And in order to get outperformance, more and more the portfolio or the kind of stocks we're choosing have become cyclical stocks, um,
Commodity
right?
itself is cyclical, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Divakar, I would say, I think most PMSs, I think they follow this rule that they go for bottom up, stock picking, and we don't change the strategies too frequently because FIS they may have fled today, and you never know when they come back, and when they come back, they're going to mostly buying start buying nifty stocks, banks and other nifty stocks. So we don't take such. Of course, you can take. You can ask me what I am doing personally because I do a bit of speculative stuff because I like to do that. But otherwise, as a PMS, we don't change the strategies too quickly. If we are bullish on a Poonawalla FinCorp or on a Reliance or an HDFC Bank, we'll keep buying them, and we'll hold them for long, and then we'll not or even Tata Motors, we have been buying at 75 rupees 2 years ago. I'll just share with you one very interesting instance, Sumit and the others. I had gone to meet a very large investor in Delhi, and Pankaj was with me, and he said, okay, tell me a good auto stock. And Pankaj said, I think Tata Motors has got a lot of value to offer. And he said, why Tata Motors? I would rather buy a Maruti at 60. It was at 6,500. Maruti was 6,500 and Tata Motors was at 75 rupees. He said, I would rather buy a Maruti at 6,500, than buying Tata Motors at 75. And we all know where Tata Motors is today, and where this is. So we like Tata Motors also. If you see the numbers, the JLR numbers have gone down in the last results, but we are very bullish. We believe that. In fact, Pankaj has told it multiple times that he believes that JLR will outperform the other order book of Tata Motors. Someday. So when we take a stock, when we pick up a stock, we give a lot of research, we give a lot of time to it, and then when we pick it for a long haul. We don't change our strategy so quickly. I think that is with all the PMSs. But if you ask me, one thing that I would like to discuss and hear from Sumit and others also, that since we were mentioning about Ukraine-Russia opportunity, I think wheat stocks is also one thing that offers immense, opportunity, considering that
Really,
Russia
which
and Ukraine
stocks?
have been the wheat stocks, wheat for
Wheat
ready
stock, of
FMCG.
course. But
Yes, yes,
unfortunately, I mean, they are not pure players. So India has clearly said that we can feed the entire world, right? If WTO gives us the permission. So I feel the stocks which would be in focus on that front would probably be your ITC again, and
Wilmar, Wilmar.
Adani Wilmar, Fortune Atta, and Ashirwad Atta. Ashirwad, I mean, so Adani Wilmar has already, we've been saying this, that because of Ukraine, the oil, sunflower oil has been, short, and this is an opportunity for Adani Wilmar to take advantage of the situation, right? So this jump, in fact, in this very group on 24th March, there was a person who was asking me, should I buy Adani Wilmar, right? And probably now it has doubled from there. So how quickly Adani Wilmar is moving up, because there are multiple factors. And if this wheat thing goes out, and already Egypt, I think, has agreed to take wheat from
Yes,
India, and there are other
exactly.
countries also that they will agree, because Russia, Ukraine, I think they used to provide the wheat. They were the grain, source for
Grain
some
ball.
of the European countries.
Yes.
अब वो कौन करेगा प्रोवाइड? आईटीसी आईटीसी स्टॉक भी काफी ऊपर जा रहा है, बस वी वर स्टिल नॉट श्योर if it is the cigarette, I would say, uh, how budget always used to add on to cigarette prices, वो इस बार नहीं हुआ, तो maybe that was the reason why it was rising. But now it has multiple reasons. It has enough reasons to say that the portfolio on the agri commodity side can also be strengthened when it comes to ITC's larger, businesses. So this could, and of course, if I see the hotel business also is coming back, and the paper and recycled paper, whatever they are doing on that front, that's all because of offices, courts, schools opening up. That's also good. So ITC, is one stock which hasn't moved for a very long time. In this period, if I just talk about the last two months or so, it has seen significant jump. So these two come to my mind whenever we talk about wheat in general from India. Of course, there would be some random players, not listed players also, but stock listed comes only this. Any other stock in this field, sir?
You're right, Sumit. I think ITC, very happy to see the recent jump, and I hope it makes a new high. And there was a joke being circulated back in the day that this year I'm going to show ITC as my immovable property, because it was not moving only. So yeah,
Yeah,
happy to see
yeah,
ITC moving. And but I think Adani Wilmar, personally, if you ask me, it's not a recommendation. I'm just saying my
mm,
own view that I'm very bullish because of, like you said, higher margins on sunflower oil, and
yeah,
also wheat. I think since we are going to be exporting to 5-6 countries. I think Turkey, Italy, and Egypt, etc. And I think they're going to be the major beneficiaries of them of that deal. And I'm hoping a very good Q4 result. And I think before that, the stock is going to show some good moment. Even I think there's still some steam left in the stock.
तो अगर इस साल पूरा इंडिया ने प्रोवाइड करना है वीट तो सर फर्टिलाइजर स्टोरी और ज्यादा स्ट्रांग हो जाएगी.
वो भी है फर्टिलाइजर भी, of course, it has lot of steam left, I guess.
So this news I'm desperately waiting कि ये फर्टिलाइजर सब्सिडी का डिसीजन कब होता है, and then I think the jump comes in rather quickly.
Even
throw me some light on.
Sumit, I would like to add something here. I think right now we're having a discussion when the stocks have already appreciated a lot. I think the news may have reached earlier. That's why it's already ab kitna. I think I'm not sure if how much
If I
upside is
completely
left.
agree कि सारे stocks में तो upside नहीं होगा, but there have been two stocks which I've been talking about in this group. RCF is struggling with one of their supply zones. कोई bear अभी भी इसको तंग कर रहा है. So there is probably some hope and scope over there. एक बारी RCF निकल जाए. If I show you the stock for चंबल fertilizer तो यहाँ से ऊपर निकल गया. So very similar story, but happened much earlier. Let's see. So ये already काफी ऊपर जा चुका है. It's making these new highs, right? And then there was I have been talking about this Tata stock rallies India. इसमें मेरे को hope and scope दिख रहा है. Given that it's just broken out from a channel it used to operate in. Okay, it was coming down from roughly 360 से नीचे it had touched 228 which is again a monthly demand को touch किया. दो बारी touch किया, वहां से ऊपर जाने लग गया. For the last 3 weeks it started to go up, broken out its channel. यहाँ पे मुझे थोड़ा सा hope and scope दिख रहा है. दीपक फर्टिलाइजर, मद्रास फर्टिलाइजर, ये शायद as I understand they are already making new highs. So maybe not all of them have that potential, but a few of them.
Sumit, I would like to know from you and other participants also a little bit about geopolitical situation, because as we can see that
No, before that, Vikram, I want to know your point where you said you emphasize on the PMS side.
Yeah.
So, what is the time duration you give it to? 3 years.
You see, our objective is is that the money should double in 3 years. So we tell our investors 3 to 5 years mostly.
So,
But
and what is the weighted?
that's what we aspire to. Doesn't mean that it will always happen. But the idea is that the money should double in 3 to 5 years or so.
So that means it is the investment side basically, and then how strong is the mutual fund side in that?
Sorry, I didn't get you. What
What is the participation of the mutual fund? उसका mutual fund का कितना भाग रहता है?
इसमें?
आपके PMSs में?
नहीं, why PMS is stock picking. We pick my partner Pankaj was managing $2 billion of equity monies in Axis Mutual Fund. He is himself an ace fund manager.
The equity is given. Equity is given. Equity 100% profile that is given. But उसमें distribution क्या होगा? Basically equity में distribution कैसे रहेंगे? किस तरह के funds होंगे उसमें? Stocks.
We have 3 portfolios. So mostly 10 to 18 के बीच में. We have one concentrated also where we have 10 to 12 stocks only, high conviction stocks. Then we have 15 also and 15 to 20 also. So there are different schemes that we have.
And all you are aiming for 3 years doubling.
I mean, 3 to 5 years is what ideally one should have horizon in equity markets, because if you tell short term, the money may double in 1 year also, but then that is not an objective, and we also want to be fair to the investors and to be fair to ourselves also. We would like to give a positive surprise than underperform.
So Vikramji, if somebody wants to invest through you, how should they reach out?
Great. So yeah, I can share my email ID, or they can share. I can share with them my schemes portfolio and the performance, and then they can have a look. And if they're still keen to explore further, then we can have a discussion on that.
Sure. आप मेरे को WhatsApp कर दीजिएगा. I'll further put it in the group. I think there are people who seem to be keen. let's have that discussion offline. I mean, one-on-one maybe would be much better for you guys, right?
I will share with you, and there some stocks which I'll tell you, which not many mutual funds the PMS were talking about, but we are very bullish, and they have been multi-baggers for us, irrespective where the market has gone. So I'll share with you a sample portfolio, and
Sure.
fact sheet.
That will be good. That will be nice.
Yeah, great, great.
Great. Sorry, let's go back to your question. I believe you had a question on
Yeah.
geopolitical situation.
Yeah,
So
so I was saying
please
is,
go ahead.
what I was saying is, I was just watching news today. As we can see that, as expected, it has not been a walk for Russia, and we all thought that maybe within 2 weeks or a month, things will become normal, and the war will get over.
No, it will
But it
not.
doesn't look like the scenario. And on the contrary, what I saw was another dangerous situation in Bosnia. Bosnia. If you all are aware of, Bosnia has basically three heads of the country. One is a Serb, one is a Croatian, one is a Bosnian.
That's
So no, the Serbian had Dodik. I don't know what his name is. No, he is also getting on the offensive, and he is joining hands with Russia. He just had a
Okay.
meeting with the Russian defense minister and the Hungarian president also. So I think something is brewing up there also. So I'm not sure if it's going to
So
end here soon, or it
this
will
is this is what
continue.
you're talking about. Bosnia
Exactly.
Herzegovina
Yeah.
could be the next site of Russian fueled
Yeah, there was
conflict.
a
So I would
there
like to
was an
have views of
interesting
other
event that
members also on
happened
this.
where a Chinese military cargo ship carried missiles to Serbia, I think last week or 2 weeks before, crossing NATO space in a show of power.
That is a point.
Uh,
NATO.
right. So, I mean, it's a very interesting question. I mean, the way I look at it is, I mean, I start with the concept that euro is screwed. Right. So, I mean, look at this situation, right? US started this war. Europe jumped on the bandwagon without realizing that they are going to get screwed. Their currency is going to get screwed. Their banking system is going to get screwed. Their consumer is going to get screwed. Uh, right. Without realizing, the whole dynamics of what Russia and China could do. Um, what essentially means is that we are now no longer in a globalized world. I think the old scheme of things, right?
Not,
For the last 20 years,
Prakhar,
we
are you
haven't had
saying
to go to war.
we are not in a globalized world?
Yeah, so now the theme that's playing out is anti-globalization. So it's no longer that China produces and everybody consumes, right? Or it's no longer that one particular country has a manufacturing base and everybody else consumes, right? So now what's happening is everybody is will have to put up their own capacities for everything, right? So I think what that will ensure is that countries which have the capability will be able to set up the manufacturing and will also be able to consume it, right? So like US is now starting to set up manufacturing for some of its critical goods, right? So like tire manufacturing and chip manufacturing, there's a lot of factories that's going to come up in the US itself.
Hmm.
So I think
And India is
uh,
doing a lot on semiconductor.
yeah, yeah. So I think essentially we'll probably look at a 3 to 5 year period where this conflict will continue. I mean, the other issues also. See, Russians are a supporter of Republicans, right? Um, and then you have the elections coming up in November, the midterm elections in the US coming up in November. So I am of the view that this war will continue at least till November. After that, we will, see some sort of reduction in the hostilities. Is my
So the
view.
problem is that see what is happening is he is pumping in conservative or koi ho, it doesn't make a difference. The scene changed after the Gorbachev left. Got the point? And the distribution of Russia took place. And then after the Russia and NATO are enemies. But this is a simple thing to be understood. Till Gorbachev was there, he was delivering lecture in US also, and he was delivering lecture all over the world. His outlook was different. Now the thing is that Hungary has come because it is one of the countries of the three which has got disintegrated then and separated. Russia separated it. The problem here is that if US keep on pumping 800 billion, keep on dumping the war material, first thing we should know is NATO is not war based. It is not armament technology. It is only financial based. NATO was constituted financially strong, not war strong. They can't fight wars. So for that, they need support. The support is US because China, Russia, and all they are unable to get go with them. So that's why the demarcation is there separate. अगर यूरोप को अगर 20 नेशन को नेटो को जोड़ना है 30 नेशन को तो उनकी फाइटिंग पोटेंशियल हैज टू बी सपोर्टेड बाय यूएन दैट इज यूएस एंड यूके यूरोप कांट फाइट वॉर अलोन financially also now comes how to tumble a person. Tumbling person is hit the backbone is your support is your all these things comes in play. Logistics, जब तक logistics strong नहीं होगा तो only by bombardment you can't break. Now the logistics comes in play. What we are discussing logistic part. If armament technology is imported exported, market is logistics. If you eat food and all is getting disturbed, is logistics. Survivability is logistics. जी सर्वाइबिलिटी जो होती है लॉजिस्टिक्स होने में विदाउट सर्वाइबिलिटी यू कांट टेक द नेक्स्ट स्टेप वॉर बिकम्स जस्ट अ पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ इट कि वो सर्वाइबिलिटी को हिंडर कर रहा है तो लोग वहां से भाग रहे हैं तो सर्वाइबिलिटी कैसे करेंगे क्योंकि वो चीज बीच में बैरियर बन रही है यू हिट लॉजिस्टिक्स यू कांट फाइट वॉर 60% of the country washout is gone.
The global trade being hit, we are going to go back into our cocoons.
That's it.
And build those fortresses, back how we used to be.
Only one thing which what Deepak just now said was correct. Now we are able to amplify our potential independently. आत्मनिर्भर जो हम लोग यूज करते हैं भारत के लिए वो आत्मनिर्भरता हर 193 को पता चल रहा है कहां पर है पहले यूनिपोलर था बाइपोलर थे तो वो जानते थे कि हमारी आत्मनिर्भरता लड़ाई खुद में इतनी है जब कोई इंटरफेयर करेगा उसको मारने की हमारे पास इतनी है उसने कहा कि अभी हम अमेरिका जो आकर के यहाँ पे डालेगा तो कहेगा हम न्यूक्लियर कर देंगे कल जब न्यूक्लियर करेगा तब तो खत्म हो जाएगा यूएन तो डिस्टेबलाइज हो जाएगा पूरा एवरीथिंग विल क्रश पूरा क्रैश हो जाएगा वो The logistics is the key for everything. Nothing else.
वो तो इंडिया में सब कुछ इंडिजिनियस होने वाला है एटलीस्ट व्हेन डिफेंस इज कंसर्न्ड सो आई कैन लाइक आई पुट अप
गैस और ऑयल की बात कर रहे थे सिर्फ 1% वहां से इफेक्ट हो रहा है 1% इज ऑफ द टोटल इज नथिंग एंड दैट टू दे आर गेटिंग 25% चीपर और यूनान भी चाइना ने भेजा है वो यूनान करेंसी बेचा है रूबल पे डॉलर में थोड़ी बेचा है चाइना इज सेलिंग वो यूनान
So let me capture this. So we are talking about situations. At least what I'm hearing is war situation bani rahegi. Defense will be a very big defense supplies. Defense capabilities will be quite big.
Quite big. Why? Because जो यूएस की डिफेंस है ना उसको स्टडी करी है कि कितना वो एक्सपोर्ट इंपोर्ट करता है और उसका एक्सपोर्ट कहाँ जा रहा है किस जगह जा रहा है अब अफगानिस्तान का विड्रॉ कर गया मिडिल ईस्ट रह गया तो दे आर फाइंडिंग न्यू प्लेसेस ना टू वेयर टू यूज देयर वेपन आल्सो ना ये सप्लाई बना रिमेंबर आई विल टेक यू बैक टू फोर्ड का क्या हुआ था फोर्ड की फैक्ट्री ने इतना प्रोडक्शन किया कि वो जंक यार्ड बन गया और खरीदने वालों का पैसा नहीं रहा तो वो साइकिल ऑफ मनी जो था वो रुक गया ऑपरेशन ऑफ फाइनेंस तो वो क्या हुआ कि जो बनाने वाले थे उनका इतना पैसा आ गया वो अपनी गाड़ी को खुद ही ले करके वो फूड बना नहीं पाए वो सब ब्रोक हो गए
तो जैसे डंपिंग ऑफ गुड्स होता था नाउ इट इज डंपिंग ऑफ डिफेंस
बिल्कुल होगा दे हैव टू यूटिलाइज इट ना अफगानिस्तान से आपने विड्रॉ किया कहां जाएंगे आप अब चाइना में मार के देखिए अब चाइना में कह दिया मैक्रो शुरू हो गया नई चीज शुरू हो गई उनकी सिटी पूरी शंघाई बहुत ब्लैक लिस्ट कर दी उन्होंने कंप्लीट लॉकआउट लगा दिया सिटी में हमको कोई जानता था कि चाइना में लॉकडाउन लगेगा हिंदुस्तान में लगेगा
Challenges, these are hidden agendas. Of course, we will see how they play out. But we can keep it in the back of our mind कि ऐसा कुछ हो रहा होगा, लेकिन what it means for India.
ये हो रहा है, ये न्यूज़ में है तो.
मुझे ये सिचुएशन इंडिया के लिए हर जगह से बेनिफिशियल ही दिखती जा रही है. Our traditional
we are not, because we are independent and we are not involving ourselves anywhere.
Our traditional sectors are getting an opportunity to grow, whether it was textiles a few weeks back, whether it is agriculture.
Yes.
All that is coming back, and I think
And
this
we
is
are
the
getting
first
time
time.
to recoup ourselves.
Yes. So that's where the advantages are. अगर आप जैसे पोर्टफोलियो की बात कर रहे थे शैलेंद्र जी एंड विक्रम जी, नेक्स्ट 2-3 years अगर ये सिचुएशन बनी रहती है, knowing US
अभी तो
and
that's why we are planning on 3 trillion to 5 trillion. यूपी
yeah,
चीफ मिनिस्टर कह सकता है कि इन 5 year टाइम आई वांट टू बिकम 5 times stronger in 1 trillion 25 million. तो ऐसे तो हो सकता है. And he's asking people like us, open world से मांग रहा है वो. I am Lucknow in the buyer. He send me an advisor who can advise me for 5 times growth in 5 years.
yes.
You see,
Sumit, we are very
this,
well poised to grow. Sorry, Sumit
yeah.
ji,
I'm
please carry on.
sorry, your voice is very low.
नहीं बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं, बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं. We are very well poised. Our base is very strong.
Yeah,
Yes.
Sumit, you see one thing, no, yeah. See, we are like, surplus in our food grains. Yeah. Just imagine
Yes.
at this point in time, if you have to import food from outside, what apart from your fuel burden, you would have an extra burden. And we have good set of professionals. We have good technology. We have everything. I think we are very well poised to grow from here. I think there's no stopping. And like Sharendraji said, he's right. He's bang on, because this is more of a commercial situation, because like Afghanistan, they have fled, so they need another place to sell their arms. So unfortunately, Ukraine people are suffering because of this conflict between Russia and America. And end result is to sell arms today. Now I think Johnson is coming to India, UK Prime Minister, to talk about arms. So everybody,
Yes.
they create uncertainty, and then they want to sell arms. So it's all commercial interest. There's nothing else involved.
Nothing happens across the globe where if there's no commercial, somebody is always benefiting. हम तो बहुत छोटे मोटे benefits की बात करते हैं यहाँ पे. When I was talking about this or this is hardly, I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg. ये तो हमें काफी late पता भी चलता है और हमें late benefits भी मिलते हैं
And
इसके.
here, keep one thing also mean, like the whole thing, money is
South
always under circulation.
Yes.
That's
साउथ चाइना सी में आप देखो इशू चल रही है. नो, इंडिया इज आल्सो अंडरस्टैंडिंग द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ एक्सपोर्टिंग आर्म्स. दे अभी ब्रह्मोस की डील करी है फिलीपींस के साथ में, इंडियन
yeah.
गवर्नमेंट. सो वी आर आल्सो लुक फॉलोइंग दैट पाथ. वी आल्सो वांट टू बी अ सप्लायर ऑफ such arms to countries which are insecure, though we have our own insecurity against our neighbors. But then that's an opportunity which every country is just jumping on.
करेक्ट. सो दिस ईयर वी हैव टू बी वेरी सेक्टर स्पेसिफिक. अगर आप निफ्टी में कुछ
हाँ.
करना चाहते हैं तो आई बिलीव ऑप्शन रूट इज अ वेरी गुड वन. You can be option sellers, and if you maintain a distance of ATR, which is basically 1,000 points up, 1,000 points below, करके आप weekly, monthly options आप sell करते रहो, you are probably making some good money. Maybe it is to the tune of 1% in a week, but that's still good enough if you're making
Too good.
4% in a month, right? So if you can see how Nifty was moving up and then it has shown this hook, अगर ये और नीचे चला जाता है, right, there is still scope. But अगर ये yellow line, which is basically your 20 moving day average, अगर इससे भी नीचे चला जाता है, which is basically right now sitting close to 17,250, और जो कि ऐसा हो सकता है मंडे को, because when I see SGX Nifty
900.
17,300, so on Thursday उसमें already एक downfall आ चुका है. So we are expecting that there is going to be a fall this week. Just like other global indices have come down, in Nifty में भी कुछ fall होना चाहिए, but this crucial point should remain intact. अगर इसमें कुछ भी साइडवे मूवमेंट की बात हम कर रहे हैं, निफ्टी में साइडवेज है, या अगर इसको फिर भी वापस ऊपर जाना है अपने अपर बोलिंजर बैंड विच इज क्लोजर सिटिंग टू अराउंड 18,200 250 के आसपास के जो लेवल है, उस तक भी इसको आई वुड से वाइब्रेट ही वहीं पे ही करना है, तो इस लेवल से नीचे नहीं जाना चाहिए. सो गाइस, इफ यू आर इनटू ऑप्शन सेलिंग, I have already showed you. If I have to give you some numbers around open interest, how was the open interest being developed in Nifty, तो वो भी एक बारी देख लेते हैं. For the month end, April 28th, अभी भी put ratio is much more compared to call. तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि there is a possibility कि शायद coming week में थोड़ा सा नीचे जाए, but then there has to be a rally बिकॉज काफी टाइम से मतलब 4-5 सेशंस अगर मैं निफ्टी के बोलूं तो निफ्टी नीचे ही आता जा रहा है. सो अगेन अ रैली should probably come in because people still don't believe कि we are in
तो इसमें
a
एक क्वेश्चन सुमित जी क्लियर यहाँ कर दीजिए.
जी
जैसे कि निफ्टी 50 से लेके निफ्टी 500 होता है, निफ्टी इंडेक्स को जो मूव करता है,
जी
और कौन कौन सी चीजें जो निफ्टी इंडेक्स को मूव करती हैं, और उनमें से कौन कौन से हैं स्टॉक्स हम बोलेंगे या फंड्स बोलेंगे, स्टॉक्स शेयर्स बोलेंगे, जो इफेक्ट जो आप दिखा रहे हैं हमको ना, व्हाट यू कॉल दैट थीम्स, उसमें कैसे इफेक्ट
तो
कर रहा है.
सर अगर आप निफ्टी के बोलने के लिए तो निफ्टी के अंदर 50 स्टॉक्स हैं, बट उसके अंदर जो 10 स्टॉक्स हैं, टॉप 10 स्टॉक्स हैं, वही 67% इसका मार्केट कैप कवर कर लेते हैं, राइट. सो इफ आई जस्ट शो यू विच आर दो स्टॉक्स, आपको अगर नजर रखनी है निफ्टी 50 पे ही, तो एसेंशियली आप इन स्टॉक्स पे ही नजर रखिए. और अभी इनमें से इन्फोसिस का और एचडीएफसी बैंक का रिजल्ट्स आ गया है ड्यूरिंग दिस हॉलिडे पीरियड, which we believe इन्फोसिस का इतना ग्रेट नहीं था, एचडीएफसी का फिर भी ठीक है, लेकिन एचडीएफसी के अराउंड कुछ खास बुलिशनेस बन नहीं पा रही बिकॉज ऑफ दैट मर्जर न्यूज. अगर होनी होती तो काफी ऊपर और चला ही गया होता. सो बिकॉज दीज टू आर सिटिंग हियर, मुझे लग रहा है कि एट द बेस्ट दे कैन कंट्रोल big falls in Nifty, and that's why we are constantly stressing upon the
Reliance can
level.
also control.
Reliance भी control कर रहा है.
Sumit, I
Yes.
want to add one thing here, Sumit.
जी
Also, HDFC Bank's results have not been impressive because the NIM has gone down, which is the bread and butter of the bank.
एग्जैक्टली कुछ है नहीं इस बैंक में,
हाँ,
पता नहीं क्यों
हाँ.
इतना चल रहा है.
नहीं, Sumit, लेकिन FI has been shunned by the because FI have gone, so HDFC Bank was one of their favorite stocks, so that's why it's not coming up. Second thing is, I think the merger is a very good news. No, recent selling that you see is more technical because a lot of funds and PMSs
Loans
have both HDFC Bank and HDFC Limited. So they have to clear down their holdings. So that is one of the technical reasons. I don't see that the merger will create a mammoth. I'm telling you, merger will be very good in the long
मर्जर
term.
डेफिनेटली क्रिएटिंग मेहमत, नो डाउट, बट जिस तरीके से मर्जर पोजीशन किया गया, मुझे लगता है कुछ इंटरनल इनएफिशिएंसीज को कवर अप करने के लिए है ये.
वो ठीक है, वो शॉर्ट टर्म में यस, बिकॉज ये मैनेजमेंट हैज चेंज, सो पीपल्स व्यू हैव आल्सो चेंज लिटिल बिट, बट आई थिंक इन द लॉन्ग रन एचडीएफसी बैंक इज अ वेरी गुड प्ले, एंड द मोमेंट you see FII is coming back in the country, you see where HDFC Bank will reach. And once this reshuffling of portfolio is done by mutual funds and PMS, I think HDFC Bank will stabilize, and I think there should be we can see good good return in this stock also.
राइट. तो जस्ट लुक एट द कॉम्पोजिशन. एल&टी खास हिल नहीं रहा. एल&टी के बारे में शायद विक्रम जी ज्यादा बता पाएंगे मुझे. एंड रिलायंस
भी नहीं है.
होल्डिंग ऑन. इन्फोसिस मेरे को नहीं लग रहा कि ज्यादा मूव करेगा. एचडीएफसी भी डिस्कस. आईसीआईसीआई बैंक, आई थिंक बैंकिंग इन जनरल. बाकी बचा टेक आपके सामने ही. अगर कोई हिल रहा है, जो ऊपर जा रहा है, वो सिर्फ रिलायंस और आईटीसी ही बचते हैं फिर. और कोई
Nifty will
खास
move only when Sumit will move only when FIs come back. If you want
Absolutely.
to see
When do you think that will happen, sir?
अभी तो नहीं कह सकते. अभी तो अनस्टेबिलिटी है सब जगह, अनसर्टेनिटी, there's a lot of uncertainty everywhere.
तो खुशी खुशी कॉल सेल और पुट सेल करते रहे. एटलीस्ट कॉल सेल तो करते रहे, उसमें तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
Not sure option, derivatives. No, I'm very scared of derivative market, so I stay away from. To hedge the portfolio, yes,
But sir,
I can buy some put.
2 weeks में 18,500 तो नहीं जाने वाला ना.
नहीं अभी
यार आप नहीं कह सकते यार, आप नहीं कह सकते. You can never say never.
I don't know, टॉप लॉसेस जो रिलायंस है ना, ये देख के पुल इट. हमने भी म्यूचुअल फंड का करा है, पर 100% इक्विटी करा है.
हाँ, बट लेकिन अभी गिवन द सिचुएशन सुमित लग नहीं रहा है कि निफ्टी 1800-500 लग नहीं रहा है. इट लुक्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट इन द शॉर्ट टर्म, बट नेवर से नेवर.
हाँ जी.
सेंटीमेंट्स आपका पुट दिखा रहा है.
इस वीक में तो कॉल राइटिंग इतनी जबरदस्त हुई है. इट्स क्लियर दैट 21 अप्रैल तक तो ऊपर नहीं जाने वाला. सो इफ दैट्स इफ यू वांट टू गो विद द फ्लो, दिस इज व्हाट इट इज. पीसीआर इज एट 0.5.
दैट्स अ गुड इंडिकेशन, नो, कि वो अभी मार्केट रेंज बाउंड ही दिख रही है.
राइट. और यही स्टोरी अगर हम बैंक निफ्टी के बारे में भी देख लेते हैं, तो लेट्स मूव टू बैंक निफ्टी. तो बैंक निफ्टी में भी इनफैक्ट जहां निफ्टी में 1 से ऊपर दिख रही थी पीसीआर फॉर द मंथ एंड, यहाँ तो उतनी भी नहीं है, तो बैंकिंग से तो ज़्यादा होप स्कोप लग ही नहीं रहा। और अगर बैंकिंग ऊपर नहीं जाने वाला, टेक तो हमने पहले ही कह दिया कि काफ़ी नीचे ही है, उससे तो हम इतने जंप की उम्मीद नहीं कर रहे थे। अगर एक बैंक था, तो उसमें भी पीसीआर कह रहा है कि मंथ एंड में भी इतना हाई नहीं है, वीक में भी इतना हाई नहीं है। तो निफ्टी, वी आर नॉट फीलिंग इट्स गोइंग टू गो एनीवेयर फार अवे।
I think HDFC
नीचे भी
Bank,
नहीं ज़्यादा गिरेगा, नीचे भी नहीं गिरना चाहिए क्योंकि रिलायंस बैठा हुआ है।
so with Bank Nifty में HDFC Bank is I think 15-16% holding. You know, it's so Bank Nifty. I would be careful about Bank Nifty.
Because see, if you take 18604 is the highest till now, तो उसका 10% भी, उसका अभी जो चल रहा है ये 5% चल रहा है, 1000 डाउन, 1000 रफली इज 5%। कीप दिस एज अ थंब रूल। जो आप वो ग्राफ दिखा रहे थे हमको बीच में कि निफ्टी उसके नीचे गिर के फिर ऊपर जाएगा 18604 पे, तो उसके आगे आप लिख लीजिए 5% है। 5% का मतलब लिख लीजिए 800 to 1000 पॉइंट्स और 18 और 604 के आप पॉइंट्स ले लीजिए।
बिल्कुल
तो ये
सर।
है ना, तो ये 5% दिखा रहा है और उसके नीचे 5% देख लीजिए, ऊपर 5% देख लीजिए। वो आरबीआई ने भी इसलिए इन्फ्लेशन को देख करके अपना वो बॉलिंजर बैंड टाइप बना दिया। इतनी लिक्विडिटी हमने मेंटेन रखनी है, चाहे वो एफआईआर आए डीआईआर पर। उतना फ्लडिंग हम देख चुके हैं 18604 का, कितने फ्लडिंग के बाद मार्केट वगैरह पुल करके, रिलायंस वगैरह पुल करके, लार्ज कैप्स करके जितना हमारे पास किटी थी करके कहां तक पहुंचा दिया था। आफ्टर कोविड वाई शेप, जिसको वाई शेप कहते हैं, वी हैव टू टेक ऑल द फैक्टर्स इन माइंड कि अगर से गिर जाए तो वाई शेप पहुंचा। जैसे क्या होता है, न्यूक्लियर बम मारा, जीरो हो गया, फिर वाई शेप। वाई शेप कैसे पहुंचेगा, तो कौन कौन पहुंचाएंगे, इस तरह पहुंचेंगे। फॉर एग्जाम्पल जैसे कोविड हुआ था, तो वो सब फैक्टर्स आप माइंड में रहेंगे तो आरबीआई भी देख रहा है, गवर्नमेंट ने 10 बिलियन से रिलीज किया, रिलीज करके पूरा संभाल करके वहां ले गए। अभी देखिए अमेरिका में कहां पे इन्फ्लेशन पहुंच गया, नो वन थॉट ऑफ इट, नो वन थॉट ऑफ रशियन एक्टिविटी, नो वन थॉट ऑफ चाइनीज कोविड की फोर्थ वर्जन, फिफ्थ वर्जन क्या आ जाएगा। See, still 3-4 places the things are awkward in countries, big huge countries. चाइना भी शंघाई बंद पड़ा हुआ है। उधर वो अब यूएस भी इन्फ्लेशन देखिए कहा जा रहा है, फेड हाइक्स कर रहा है। वो देख रहे प्लान करते हैं, वो कहते हैं वो कितना करेगा, वो पल्लाता देखिए हर समय वही डिस्कस करती रहती है।
दिवाकर,
नहीं, ये सब
anything in
पॉइंट्स
next RBI meeting, what do you feel? Are they planning going to
न्यूट्रल
increase
है।
the rates?
जून इज न्यूट्रल, आई एम फॉर न्यूट्रल। आई हैव टू ऑब्जर्व फॉर वन क्वार्टर। मैंने कहा था पिछले एक क्वार्टर में, एक क्वार्टर ऑब्जर्व करिए, एक क्वार्टर में यहाँ तक पहुंचे हैं, 1005% में आ गया लिफ्ट करके, अदरवाइज वी हैव गॉन डाउन टू 10%। आप पिछले देखेंगे एक क्वार्टर पहले हम 10% नीचे थे 18604 से।
अगर आरबीआई ने इंक्रीज कर दिया इंटरेस्ट रेट नेक्स्ट मीटिंग में, तो देन वी आर गोइंग डाउन इन निफ्टी।
यस, यही तो प्रॉब्लम है, वो तभी न्यूट्रल उसको दिखाना है। उसके पास
दिवाकर, what do you feel?
5+3 8 वर्जन है, 1 पॉइंट वो दिखा रहा है। फेड जो दिखा रहा है ना, फेड इज सेइंग 1.5 to 2.5%।
Let me take other people's view, sir.
हाँ वही तो that's
Divakar, what do you feel? Is it already
But,
factored in? I mean, we were supposed to increase the rate this time itself, right?
no, I stopped looking at RBI. He's making a lot of policy errors. Look at the 10-year government bond. No, 10-year government bond is moving. It's above 7%, and as long as that bond keeps rising, I'm sort of bullish on banks.
Yeah.
And eventually he will catch up. Suddenly he'll wake up one day and he'll catch up to what the bond is doing. My view is that US interest rates should hit at least 3%. The 2-year and the 5-year should be in the 3% range. That's when the issues,
still too
I
high.
think, will stop. And then higher inflation and higher bonds are good for banks. Okay, so I generally have that view.
तो फिर
NIMS,
that's correct,
बैंकिंग सेक्टर फिर तब ऊपर जाएगा।
sorry,
बैंकिंग सेक्टर तब ऊपर जाएगा फिर।
yeah, once the bond yields stabilize,
और भी हो जाएगा ना, करेक्ट, वो हो जाएगा।
yeah, see, because right now the NIMS are all at around 2%. Okay, so once and sort of the rates at which banks are funding themselves is around the 5%, 5.5%. So NIMS are in that 2% range. But then once the funding rate shoots up to say 7%, you will see NIMs climbing to around 3 or 4%.
Yes. That's it. पर लिक्विड बैंक में अभी भी दिवाकर जी बैंक में लिक्विडिटी बहुत है.
Yeah, there is ample liquidity. It's
हाँ,
now what's
ample.
happening in the market is more a valuation issue rather than growth issue,
Correct.
right? So
हाँ, फ्यूचर वैल्यूएशन दैट्स इट. अच्छा
So
एक चीज और
what
बताइए,
is
इतनी
our plan, guys? What
इतनी
is our
वोलेटाइल.
plan for this week? What should we be focusing on this week?
नहीं, उससे पहले एक सवाल ये है कि जो आपने इतना एनालिसिस किया बहुत अच्छा किया, इसलिए बताइए कि ये जो वोलेटिलिटी है ना, वोलेटाइल मार्केट, तो ये वोलेटाइल कितने दिन का लेके चले हम लिक्विडिटी
Arey,
का?
volatility is big in the index, no? But you look at individual stocks.
उसमें many of the index stocks थे, वो तो सुमित जी से मैं पूछूंगा because he is doing so much of work in it कि कौन से ऐसे हैं जो कि अपने हाई टच कर चुके हैं, 52 वीक हाई and above 200 ट्रेड कर रहा है.
Look at, I mean, if I just talk about my portfolio, or what I'm recommending, metals, definitely Tata Power, then some of these sort of COVID catastrophes, right? Or companies which were affected by COVID but are really good companies like PVR, some of the microfinance companies, yeah, definitely chemicals, right? These stocks all rallied in the last 15-20 days. All these stocks have been rallying. So, I mean,
Yeah,
What about
reality is also coming back.
logistics? See, energy is back. This is what FIIs or DIs are buying. What they are getting out is IT. This is on 11. What they are further
IT
getting
थोड़ा
again
लो है अभी.
IT. Again IT. IT से तो मैं तो अभी दूर हो ही चुका हूँ.
IT is
Clearly,
low.
so I think
energy
IT and large cap banks and auto and consumer durables have been selling
Are
off,
out. Correct. All these things. Correct. Absolutely. These three are out.
right?
Hmm. Correct.
And all those, fancy growth stories, all those stocks like,
Tourism is
IK,
picking up. Hospitality is picking up.
yes. Hospitality clearly, if we had talked about these hotel stocks, right?
look at indices, Indian
Look at
hotels.
what has happened on Wednesday to hotel stocks. मार्केट नीचे जा रही थी, ये स्टॉक्स ऊपर जा रहे थे जस्ट वेडनेसडे, राइट?
Hospitality will pay. Hospitality pay. Marriage season आ गया, अभी वो दिखा रहा था कल वो 90 days में 40 lakhs 5 lakh crore.
This is Indian hotels.
हाँ.
Just look at the performance. This is last 6 week performance itself is so good, right?
Right.
सब open up हो रहा है तो obviously when we
Wedding
look at the
season is on for
performance and all,
3
it is
months.
not
Summers.
reflecting right now.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think this time Diwali will be
Sumit,
amazing. Huh?
I wanted to add,
Should
Sumit,
be.
Indian hotels.
बोलिए
तू
सर.
what रहे.
Sir, we have been very bullish on Indian hotels and we've been buying since 110,
Yeah.
120 rupees. And
Yeah.
Inox also we've been buying a lot. It's been one of our top holdings in our portfolio, for last
Yeah,
year.
one has to hold it.
I
Correct.
think a lot of opening up themes has already, picked up. I think they have already caught up with the, with the valuation. So I
What
think
about
there is some
shopping
steam.
in the malls? People want to
Sorry?
go back to the malls, right?
Yeah.
When they go even to watch a movie, mall तो रहता ही है, I think mostly. So I believe ये जो there is Spencer's, Shoppers Stop. Even if I look at Aditya Birla, look at this performance, weekly performance. How last 6 weeks की अगर हम बात कर लेते हैं, how it's going up. I think there is a nice channel in which Aditya Birla was operating. If it breaks out from here, there is more room, right? अभी तो वापस ऊपर आया ही है हमारा. And if I see Spencer's, let's see. I haven't looked at. There is again more room for growth here. V2 retail. I think this is that Vishal Mega Mart or something. People, I think that online shopping craze was there, but just as an outing when they go out for movies and all, malls, may shopping karna and all comes back. And look at Shopper Stop. Just look at Shopper Stop. Look at the volumes also. I think this is amazing.
I think there is sort of like a dichotomy here, right? So I don't think the cheap retailers or the low cost retailers are doing well.
Yeah,
But if you look at the luxury brand retailers, like say
give me
Shoppers Stop.
a name. Give me a name. Yeah, Shopper Stop is one. Any other?
So I would put Shoppers Stop, Starbucks, which is owned by Tata Consumer.
Payments also.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at stocks like Trent.
Yes.
Stocks like PVR, Inox, obviously, right? So these stocks are doing well. The luxury consumption stories are doing well, but the low
OTT
cost
को भी
stories
साउथ
are
वाले अभी जोड़ रहे हैं ना, तो तेलुगु जो है बंगाल 50%.
like PVR and Trent. Okay, I just keep watching
Yes.
Netflix. What are the new releases?
Every Thursday 3 releases.
Few got
Thursday,
the
Friday,
new
Saturday.
releases. RRR and the Beast and all these companies.
Every Thursday, Friday, Saturday 3 releases every week.
Then what about media companies?
Media Z.
जी तो सर काफी टाइम से रुका पड़ा है, क्या करें उसका?
नहीं, Z में I think there's immense unlocking. We don't know the block deal who has bought. I think the one of the promoters may have increased their holdings. I think we have to wait for and it is I think there's a lot of unlocking left in Z.
एक ये गैप बनाया था जी ने 23rd को, एटलीस्ट वो उससे नीचे नहीं गया है. सो आई थिंक दिस वाज द टाइम व्हेन इन्वेस्को सेड कि यू नो वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू इंटरफियर इन योर प्लान्स. अगर ये इसके अंदर से निकल जाता है वापस, देन आई वुड बी रियली डाउटफुल. आई एम हैप्पी टू होल्ड ऑन टू जी. आई एम होल्डिंग जी.
No, but you have to see, who bought that 9% block also, no, Sumit? When you get to know who has done the block deals, then I think, and my guess is that the promoters may have increased, Goenkas may have increased their holding. So once the news and all comes out, I think Z is going to, and Z will not, you won't be able to catch Z. Charge started, I think 400 to 500 is intrinsic value, if you ask me, or maybe more also.
ये DIIs ने तो बढ़ा दिया है अपना स्टेक, which is good. Let's see what you are saying. अगर वो हमें कहीं डेटा मिल जाता है.
अब ये देखो ना, जो 9% एग्जिट था, who are the who did the block?
बल्क भी है इसमें, इनसाइडर भी है, दोनों देख लेते हैं. इन्वेस्को ने तो अपना डिस्पोज ऑफ कर दिया, ब्लैक रॉक ने डिस्पोज ऑफ. अभी रिसेंट तो किसी इनसाइडर ने कुछ नहीं किया. बल्क डील में एक बार देख लेता हूँ. Any particular name that you are targeting? परचेज तो बहुत आ रहा है.
Yeah, they may be their
But
own.
it's a old one. It's a old one. 20 सितंबर का चल रहा है. उसके बाद से कोई ब्लॉक डील ही नहीं दिख रही इसमें तो.
That's why it's not come. When the data comes out, you see.
डेटा भी दिसंबर का आएगा ना, लास्ट तो फिर दिसंबर में अगर कुछ सॉरी दिसंबर में अगर कुछ हुआ होगा.
ब्लॉक has just happened in I think late March or early April में हुआ था.
ये वाली कह रहे हो ना, मूव, ये वाली मूव.
इन्वेस्को ने जो एग्जिट करा. हाँ,
इन्वेस्को ने बेचा, किसने खरीदा, दैट्स व्हाट वी डोंट नो, राइट? दैट्स व्हाट यू आर सेइंग.
एग्जैक्टली. वो I think if promoters have increased or Junjunwala has increased, then you'll get to know. Then you'll see the update.
True.
This is a good time to accumulate, na, the stock.
Yes, Z, we are very bullish. It's also a part of our PMS, and I personally am very bullish. I think there's a lot of value unlocking in Z. And Aditya Birla Fashion also been one of our top holdings in all our PMS, and we are very, very bullish. I think Aditya Birla Fashion will be an outlier. And we have crazy target. I can't share the target here, but we've got crazy target for Aditya Birla Fashion.
400 का टारगेट रख लें उसी के लिए.
अब ये नहीं मैं बोलूंगा, crazy 400 is not crazy.
For short term थोड़ा कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्ड करने के लिए.
हाईएस्ट कितना दिखा रहा है?
ऐसा तो डबल करना है ना सर. आपने तो कहा था 3 साल.
ये कितना दिखा रहा है? हाउ मच इज दिस?
अगर यही हो जाता तब भी तो डबल है.
दिस 400 लाइन इज इट? पीक.
400 सर.
हां, तब तो 400 पक्का है नो. जी एंटरटेनमेंट में तो लुकिंग बैक है ही नहीं है. इट इज लाइक इंडस्ट्री, होटल इंडस्ट्री.
With Tejas Network also you must discuss. I think it's one of my favorite stocks. So maybe you talked about semiconductor. No, you talked about semiconductor thing. I think Tejas will be a big play in semiconductor. Because they've just acquired one semiconductor company just a week 10 days ago.
Yeah, for not exactly semiconductor directly, but nickel और semiconductor both के लिए मेरा वेदांता का था. I felt quite bullish on Vedanta, and I've been holding on since it has moved out from this level, this blue line. तो 380 के ऊपर से मैंने खरीदा हुआ है. चैनल में अपने चल रहा है कि ये पिंक सेक्शन विच इज द सप्लाई, यहाँ तक आ जाए तो आई विल बी हैप्पी. I am not the one who probably wants to hold on to stocks for 3 years and all. मेरा पैसा रोटेशन होता रहे ज़्यादा अच्छा मुझे लगता है, because you never know क्या हो जाए इंडिया में, क्या हो जाए मैनेजमेंट में. इंडिया में मैनेजमेंट न्यूज़, आई मीन एनीबडी हु इज बीइंग वेरी सक्सेसफुल सडनली मैनेजमेंट से रिलेटेड कुछ आ जाता है, सडनली कुछ ना कुछ परफॉर्मेंस चैलेंजेस डिस्प्ले होने लग जाते हैं.
नॉर्मल पोर्टफोलियो भी also requires churning up after 1 year. ऐसे नहीं होता. 1 year तो मिनिमम है. हाँ, फेल ही नहीं कर सकते तो 1 year must.
Shailendra ji, individual choice. Markets
Shailendra
are
ji,
all.
Shailendra ji, I want to add one thing. Like Sumit is saying, if we ever get a chance to meet, I can show you portfolio of some of my investors who are sitting at 22% CAGR since 2011. And patience is the key. That investor, he kept buying
Good
regularly.
company.
I used to manage his money, and 22% CAGR. And even if the market goes to 16,000, 15,000 rupees,
Then also
index, it will still be at 16-17% CAGR. So you can imagine, the kind of money that you can make if you stay put for long run.
Yes, that is great. Because see, what happens in 93 only, this Infosys and all, this Reliance was just going for 10 rupees, 93 rupees. But the thing was that time I was new to this. Otherwise, this pair go by the Sachin ka also allowance was 30,000, 3,000. Now the allowance is 45,000. इतना तो government money itself, a second youth of 82 is getting a salary of 25 rupees a day. 750 is the class one. See, today one is getting 100 times more. The salary of government has increased 100 times in 40 years. And the things जो आप वो करेंगे ना, what you call, you go to Atta market Noida 96. The cost of Dell was 1,50,000. Now today the same thing is costing 25, 30,000, 50,000. But money in hand was less for us.
Sumit, we have a question. I think somebody has asked a question for you. So yes, I'm also curious to know.
So I'm seeing money from both sides. You see, the place where I'm sitting, it was costing.
मेरे को लगता है मोटा मोटा खर्चा तो हमारा शायद 1.5 टाइम्स बढ़ गया था, लेकिन हाँ कुछ चीजें लाइक टेलीकॉम पे हमारा खर्चा जो है, ब्रॉडबैंड पे है, टेक्नोलॉजी पे है, वो कम हो गया है. एंड जो हमारे जो हमारे क्या कहते हैं
ट्रैवलिंग फ्यूल एंड ऑल वो है.
रोटी कपड़ा मकान, नॉट कपड़ा बट बेसिकली रोटी मकान और ये सब बहुत ज्यादा महंगा हो गया सर्वाइवल वाले.
सबसे ज्यादा कॉस्टली होता है ट्रैवल. आफ्टर यूर सेटल्ड नॉट सबसे ज्यादा कॉस्टली होता है ट्रैवल. आप चाहे इंडिया में भी ट्रैवल करें, हर स्टेट से अगर देखना है आपको, यू शुड हैव 5 to 6 लाख.
इंडिया में ट्रैवल करना ज्यादा महंगा पड़ता है, इससे अच्छा इंटरनेशनल घूमाओ.
हाँ, नहीं तो वो अपन, लेकिन इंडिया में बहुत सब कुछ है जो इंटरनेशनल जाने की जरूरत नहीं होती है. इफ यू हैव बीन टू दैट लेवल.
चलो, we'll talk about that. What I noticed this week, Godfrey Phillips, which is into tobacco. ITC again was into tobacco. ये दोनों राइज कर रहे हैं. कोई स्टोरी है इसके अराउंड? Anybody? Tobacco is rising.
ITC is positive.
VST शायद इंडस्ट्रीज ऐसा था या कुछ. Anybody having
HL is there. HL is positive.
Tobacco is rising because offices are opened and सबको कुछ कुत्ता ब्रेक चाहिए जो घर पे नहीं मिलता था.
घर पे नहीं पी सकते, बाहर आके आराम से पी सकते. That's what you're saying.
So Sumit, I would like to add here on the tobacco story.
Come on, welcome. Yes, please go ahead.
Hi. When the war started, right, the commodity prices started going up. There was uncertainty amongst everything about travel, about food and everything, right? So what we were advising to our clients at that point of time was ITC and Godfrey as well, which is immune to the war. It has nothing related to anything which goes on in Ukraine, which goes on in Russia or anywhere in the world, right? So that was one reason that we were actually flagging these two stocks to the clients that this is a safe bet. And if in case you want to buy something right now where you won't where you won't lose your money, and ITC being a very high dividend paying stock, right? And the range, it never breaks 200, right? And the main one is anywhere between 180 to 190 levels. So that was one story, and there were many FIs who were looking to buy this story. But Godfrey being a stock where you don't get a lot of liquidity, many FIs actually went on to buy ITC at those levels around anywhere between 220 to anywhere between 240 levels. So the accumulation actually happened in that. Then suddenly the thing started to open up, and travel started to open up, and the hotel story again triggered ITC up. But Godfrey, yes, it is also one stock which is immune to war or any other commodity prices, right? And that is the reason that we are seeing investors pumping their money in this stock, because they know there is not much downside in this name. And that being a non-FNO stock, you can't even short that name, right? So only the holders get to sell that name. So that is also one reason why these two stocks really
That's a
good well.
good point. So one, you're saying it is war-proof or crisis-proof, and at the same time, shorting possibilities are minimal in this. And so why over the years, let's see, कहाँ से कहाँ देखूँ मैं? Since 2015, तो उसका range कितना है? 1600 से
Yeah, 7 years.
700.
देखिए
तो आर यू सजेस्टिंग अभी इससे ऊपर जाएगा कि ये फिर से ही अपने अपर लिमिट तक पहुंच ही चुका है एंड देन आर पोटेंशियल फॉर
अभी तो टेस्ट करेगा ये
So it
इतना
will
ही
Control
depend
alone.
on how ITC performs here, because generally क्या होता है कि एक सेक्टर मूव होता है तो उसका सेक्टर के अंदर जितना भी स्टॉक्स होता है ना, they generally tend to move together, right? Because of
या
this.
Correlation.
या
Godfrey is one of the name which is related to ITC in a way, right? ITC obviously has multiple industries in itself. But yes, if ITC moves up, you know that 70% of the business for ITC comes from cigarettes. So Godfrey has to go up. If in case ITC goes to 300, yes, Godfrey will have to move up.
ये वीएसटी इंडस्ट्रीज क्यों नहीं ऊपर जा रहा फिर द सेम इंडस्ट्री टोबैको एक 2020 में जितना फॉल बनाया था लगभग आज उसी के आसपास ही तो घूम रहा है सो हाउ इज दिस इज अ प्योर टोबैको कंपनी राइट जस्ट लाइक
Yes, so
गॉडफ्रे
maybe this is one name where you don't find a lot of liquidity, and
हाँ
most of the investors would actually want to be in those stocks where they get good liquidity. तो entry भी ठीक अच्छा मिलता है और exit भी मिलता है उसके अंदर. Say in case something goes wrong, right? So these are some of the favorite names that people will like to buy. ITC, yes, I would say the domestics and the FIs would be pumping in the money, but yes, the HNIs and the retail might be looking out to buy Godfrey or maybe even VST. VST might be the next stock to watch out for.
व्हाट अबाउट अल्कोहल स्टॉक्स उनको वॉर प्रूफ कहेंगे
I am not quite sure about that. About the alcohol, I think that's a
विक्रम जी
altogether.
आपका एरिया विक्रम जी अल्कोहल
Yeah, we don't cover alcohol.
नहीं आप पीते हो
I think the bigger story here would be sugar stocks, the ethanol story which is going on right now, right? I'm pretty sure you guys might
And
have
all, yeah.
discussed that.
डिस्कस शुगर स्टॉक्स लास्ट टाइम इन डेप्थ और देखिए रेणुका की हमने पिछली बार बात की थी and there are obviously couple of more EID Perry and all also that there तो ये यहाँ पे तो एथेनॉल का है ना फंक्शन
Exactly.
Sumit, I would say, I think we should next discussion. No, I think it should be more like should talk like hedge funds. We should be ahead. ये जो हम discussion आज सारी कर रहे हैं ना, ये more or less already factored है. Maybe 10-20% maybe left. But थोड़ा सा hedge fund type का approach होगी तो then you're more futuristic and then you are looking you have more opportunity to explore.
Correct point.
let's discuss that yeah I mean so we said we going to do 12 sessions और on this आज 9th हो गया है from the next season onward we want to change our format and change our discussions basically take the level above so
If you note take थोड़ा सा हल्का सा.
sure.
Let's
So
take the question of.
I'm sorry what's the question
What he's saying is hedge fund is correct.
yes
Substitute for this because this has been factored in, and then looking ahead also. Futuristic ना. With the cushion कि अगर वो वहाँ नहीं पहुँचे तो there is a cushion to fall back on.
Yeah, so
Right.
one more thing I would like to add here is, if it is fine, like since you guys are saying about the hedge fund business, so hedge funds क्या करते हैं? They take a very long approach. So what they would
Yeah.
want to do, like
Which is
a small thing I would like to flag here is like Indigo or PVR. ठीक है? जब ये lockdown आया, right, of the COVID thing, they started shorting these names. So these names used to trade at a discount. तो futures अगर आप short कर सकते हो, right? यहाँ पे. So PVR and Indigo used to trade at a deep discount. Like PVR 4-5% discount होता था, right? And Indigo used to trade at around 1 to 2% discount every month, right? So when you are short on that name, right, you just keep on short rolling that name to every month, right? So when you are short rolling that name, since it trades at a discount of anywhere between 2% to 4%, you lose out on those rolling cost, right? The impact cost जो होता है आपका रोल का. अगर आप 6 से 8 महीना या 1 साल रोल करते हो उसको, right, you lose out on at least 25 to 30% on the stock, right? So वो कैपेसिटी आपका होना चाहिए टू होल्ड दो शॉर्ट. अगर आपको लगता है ना 50% गिरेगा और अगर
restricted
रोलिंग
होना है.
आपका 20-25-30% है, then you don't make money on that. And these are the names, okay, which started moving up even before the lockdown opened.
भाई ये कट ऑफ लगाना पड़ेगा.
So
No,
generally,
Monil, you know, my point was not, you know, and as I said before, I'm always, I always like to stay away from F&O market. All I was saying is that even if we talk about stocks or maybe opportunities, you know, they should be more futuristic and at least before the trend is picked up. You know, what I'm saying is that we should try
There
to
was
do that, not
scope to expand.
to follow the
Vikram,
strategy of hedge funds.
yeah,
Then
so
getting into
I was
रिस्क
like,
रिस्क कितना रखें विक्रम जी? You see, before the
10%,
trend,
not more than 10%, 5 to 10%.
it doesn't pick up also, no?
Huh?
There is a chance that it doesn't pick up also. तो हम कितना टाइम फ्रेम रखें और कितना रिस्क, कितना
तो
परसेंटेज
वो तो
रिस्क?
परसेंटेज और रिस्क इज 5%. आपने जो भी ग्राफ दिखाया था निफ्टी का ना,
हम्म
दैट इज द करेक्ट थिंग. एब्सोल्युटली बेस बनाना है, ऊपर का बनाना है, बीच के बैंड बनाना है. अब फिर देखना है 5% में कितना मूव कर रहा है हाईएस्ट जाने के बाद. ओवर वैल्यूड उसको हम लोगों ने कहा है ओवर. मार्केट हैज बीन ओवर वैल्यूड. इतने एफआईज आ गए थे, इतने एफआईज अभी तक आए भी नहीं है. वी हैव एक्सपेरिमेंटेड फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम आफ्टर कोविड. तो वो तो एक हमारे पास पैरामीटर आ ही गया है. अगर उतरी, अब आप आज के दिन से देखिए, अगर उतनी एफआईज फिर से आ गए तो हम कहां जाएंगे ये बताइए. अगर उतरे एफआई जो बैठे हुए हैं, आंख लगा बैठे होंगे, वही पूरे पूरे फिर से आ गए तो हम आज
I am with you. I am with you. And just going back to what Vikram ji is saying, अगर मुझे एक लॉन्ग शॉट बनाना है, hedge fund टाइप बनाना है, तो शॉर्टिंग के लिए मैं कितना कैसे define करूं? I would not have that kind of resources. What a hedge
Sumit,
fund.
no, Sumit, you are getting me wrong again. I am not saying to have a long shot or an FNO strategy. I am
Okay,
saying
I thought you're building on what Monil is saying.
hedge
Okay.
funds are ahead of times. You know, they
Correct.
the moment, you know, let's say when Russia when Putin told first time warned Ukraine that, you know, this is going to happen, you know, they would have taken action. We would have waited for a week, 10 days to think what is happening now. Which stock is going down. So, you know, to be slightly ahead of the market.
So what is my
what he's saying is Putin knew what he was going to do and he waited for 1 month, but we didn't know that whether he will do or not. We were thinking he will not do, but he has already catered for that he is going to do.
विक्रम जी, मैं इंसाइडर कहाँ से लाऊं फिर?
yeah,
ये
so
यही तो सर मार्केट में
I will-
फिर यही तो
5%
strategy हुई है मार्केट में तो.
5%.
नहीं, Sumit, so what Vikram is trying to tell is like समझो इतना बड़ा event है, right, which is a life changing event or like a war, right, जो हम लोग ने इतने सालों में कभी नहीं देखा है. तो what we do, since we knew from maybe 15-20 days कि ये सब चालू है, struggle चालू है, there are some uncertainties going on. Like India China में भी हुआ था, like 40 days का मेरे को लगता है हम लोग like our soldiers and
They're
their
more than
soldiers
that step over.
were not moving, right? They were not doing anything. Same case अगर हुआ था तो क्या होता था, right? So just we come up with a game plan, right? What we are doing right now. नहीं हुआ तो ठीक है, मगर अगर हुआ तो क्या हो गया? जिस दिन war हुआ, उस दिन निफ्टी 800 पॉइंट नीचे खुला, right? But then were there opportunities to short at that point of time? Were there opportunities to go long on some stocks at that point of time? Yes, right? You were getting few stocks which were at a very bargain price. You were getting some few names which you would have shorted at that time, right? So yes, we can come up with a game plan. अगर नहीं हुआ तो ठीक है, मगर अगर हुआ
नहीं,
और
absolutely.
800 पॉइंट नीचे
मेरा
खुलता भी
मेरा
है,
पॉइंट ये था कि these are like 4 or 5 times in a year ऐसी कोई बड़ी न्यूज आती है, और once that news is on and that's what we want to discuss, right? So हमारा आइडिया वही है कि do we have enough smart people, in the group to suggest कि इस न्यूज को इस एंगल से देखना चाहिए, क्योंकि इसमें हमें यहाँ
राहुल जी, आपको
अपॉर्चुनिटी।
एक न्यूज बहुत बड़ी दे
Exactly.
दी आपको कि
Sumit,
वहां पे पंपिंग कर रहा है आर्म्स,
Sumit, you and Monil
और
are bang on.
बैठने की न्यूक्लियर ना कर रहे।
It is not only about big events. It's also about
Yes.
deciphering news, because if you talk about one stock, I'll just give you an example of Tejas Network.
बिल्कुल
I bought
नेगेटिव
it
साइड है भी न्यूज पूरी।
320. Okay, I'll give you an example.
Hmm.
It's my personal holding, nothing to do with my PMS.
Okay.
When I got to know that Tata has taken a stake of 38% Tejas Network, that is the time when I started looking at the company from interest, and I've been following it regularly. So just imagine a stock which Tata bought at 280, and you bought at 320. It's
ईवी
a
पे
no-brainer. You don't even think about it. No, the opportunity. Recently, they invested in a company which makes those semiconductors. I think
करेक्ट
200, 250 crores they've invested. So look at the opportunity. You have to decipher the opportunity. And versus Tata, when it touches 70-75% holding, then it will be renamed to Tata Group. And the moment it becomes Tata Group, then everybody will start jumping on that company. So you have to decipher all the data points that you get, all the news that you get, and understand. You don't need to get an insider news. A lot of inputs
Right.
that you take from various sources. You just need to understand where the company is headed. So these type of informations, events, maybe I think they will be much more
वो तो सर
fruitful
मेरे
if
को फिर चार्ट में दिखना चाहिए। इफ आई सी गुड वॉल्यूम, इफ आई सी गुड न्यूज, देन यस दैट बिकम्स माय टारगेट कि इसी के अराउंड थोड़ा रिसर्च कर लेते हैं।
वन ऑफ द फैक्टर्स यस।
तो देखो, आपको पता भी नहीं चला होगा, तेजस में टाटा ने फ्रॉम 38% to 52% they've taken the stake. They up the stake. So eventually it will go to 70, 60, 70%, whatever. So once and then most people will buy when they say it is renamed into Tata, maybe Tata Tejas or something of
दैट इज
that
विजन
sort. Then
करेक्ट
MF will
एब्सोल्युटली।
come, then PMS will come, then DIS will come. So उससे पहले वाला जो होता है, one stock is Pune वाला FinCorp also, I've been buying at 220, 230 levels. So I think that is also one stock that we need to, maybe have a look at. So ऐसे maybe everybody can come with ideas, and then we can discuss and brainstorm.
Sure, I mean that's the idea of the club. I mean we contribute to the club and we take maximum out of it. Collectively we can do much more than one individual, right? So yeah, that's the idea. I'm just trying to check. टाटा अपने नाम से कर रहा था या सर किसी सब्सिडरी से कर रहा था?
Maybe some subsidiary. Yeah, I'll check and let you know.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
You'll get on
I
money
think
control. You get all the information on money control.
okay. So we
मैंने
can
कहा
check
न्यूज
that.
में होता है, वी आर नॉट
ये
कीपिंग
Penton
नॉट पुटिंग ऑन
Finvest.
टाइम।
This is Tata Group company. Penton
Which one?
Finvest.
Which one?
This Penton Finvest.
Penton Finvest. Okay.
Yeah, and this is Tata Group company, I guess.
Okay. सर यही तो हिडन इंफॉर्मेशन है।
हाँ। सर और सुनो, मैं बताता हूँ सुमित, what I have noticed कि when a big corporate, I will not name, one of very big corporates recently acquired a company which is into renewables, and they manipulate. They don't let the stock go up. The stock keeps coming down. This is one stock, that is the one thing that I really appreciate about Tata Group is that the ethics that they have. Normally, a bigger company would have acquired a smaller company. They would have made sure that the stock comes down. They bring it down. Here it is not come down, and I think there's still a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, Adani is showing 20 billion more than Ambani. Okay. So these are the facts. So these facts are the indicators. That's it.
Sumit, एक आप उसके you are talking about real estate, no? एक Hemisphere Properties भी, I think you must
आपने
look
मेरे
into
को
that
बताया
also.
था पहले। Yeah, Hemisphere.
So I think there's a lot of unlocking there also. So maybe for the interest of the group, they can do their research and have a look.
मेरे को एक बात बताइए विक्रम जी, आवर आइडियोलॉजी इज मोर दैट अगर रियल एस्टेट में कुछ बूम आना है तो जो रियल एस्टेट फाइनेंसिंग हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनीज हैं तो पहले उसमें भी तो कुछ जंप दिखना चाहिए। जैसे बीच में अभी कैनफिन होम्स में हमें दिखा था, LIC हाउसिंग में शायद आना है अभी। तो इस टाइप की मूवमेंट पे अगर स्ट्रेस अपॉन करते रहे दैट बिफोर एक्चुअल रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर जंप्स अप, this housing finance should come up.
So Hemisphere is a different story, Sumit. After a check, it's a different story. They got a lot of land back all over the country, and it's partly owned by Tata Group and partly owned by Government of India. And I think
Okay.
Mary reading, they're talking about developing commercial projects also. But Mary reading, yeah, they will be more used for data centers and all. I think, and data center is where you'll see a lot
And
of
backlog also.
action happening in the country.
Hmm.
Backlog बहुत.
So that's okay. So that's not residential. So Godrej Properties ka kya, they also seem to be having land banks, not maybe as big as Hemisphere. Any view on that?
Backlog demands.
Godrej also is a good company. Yeah? I think they got beaten down recently because of the
But
numbers.
then
But
decision making DB Corp और ये सब के साथ वो थोड़ा सा अच्छा नहीं लग रहा. But
हाँ, तो वो तो they've reversed it, no? So that's not happening now. So it's okay. I
ये
think
देखिए अब हेमिस्फीयर से तो FIIs भाग रहे हैं एक साल से. तो कहाँ 20 नियरली 18% होल्डिंग होती थी और अब इतनी कम आ गई है. So I wonder what's happening here. Maybe the stock also jumps up only if FIIs come back here.
no, because nothing was happening in this company. I mean, recently, Government of India has given some money to the company, to start the operations. So I think you have to be
Let's focus
patient.
on infrastructure. Government projects infrastructure. Government project.
As a group, I think we should agree कि next season that we going to start off, should we focus more on seasoned and patient investing or
Yes.
more like swing trading जो अभी हमने इस in 9-10 sessions में किया है.
I think a mix of both because people will have varied interests. So I think a mix
टाइम
of
की
both.
शॉर्टेज हो जाती है सर. इतना डिस्कशन लंबी चली जाती है.
2 घंटे हो गए ना. हो गया.
So what I think one particular week we can highlight one area more than the other. तो अगर कुछ स्विंग में बहुत अच्छी दिख रही है तो हम पहले उसकी बात कर लेंगे. And then long term discussions of themes like what you're suggesting, we should definitely keep a watch on it because that is where the source is. That is where things will actually blow up later on. तो वो swing में convert होने से पहले अगर उसको पकड़ लो, that's much better.
Okay,
क्योंकि
one
आप
more.
ऐसा
I would add here, Sumit, in case people might be interested. Like L&T works on very low margin. Okay, they believe in bulk, they believe in volumes, right? And last 6 months, the commodity prices have shot up like astronomically.
LNT तो फिर नया नीचे गया फिर.
हाँ ठीक है, थोड़ा सा नीचे आया है, but it's actually higher than what it was. Like cement, your steel, and many other raw material costs which are required for construction, basically on the construction side, and they work on very very low margin. Okay, and they being a company and they don't have the liberty to revise the cost or maybe the contract. तो क्या हो रहा है, like many of the road highway projects have been stalled because of the high input cost. और वो लोग का एक ये रहता है कि हम लोग इतने रुपए में काम करेंगे, which is not viable for many of the construction companies, the road infra companies. But L&T being a company, they are not going back on their terms, right? They are trying to revise their terms. This is what I heard, and maybe there's a lot of stress on their margin this time. Right, they might be non-profitable as well in many of the projects as well. या फिर थोड़ा लॉस लेके
रिटर्न ऑन इक्विटी तो फिर भी वो मेंटेन कर रहा है. आई डोंट नो डबल डिजिट तक तो पहुंच
अभी जो ये क्वार्टर का अभी जो ये क्वार्टर का आई थिंक द नंबर्स विल बी अंडर प्रेशर बिकॉज ऑफ.
And Monil adding to that, I think L&T is a beneficiary of defense play also, which we'll see very soon. So.
तो गवर्नमेंट का 100% है. प्रॉफिट नो लॉस तक तो नहीं जाएगा, पर प्रॉफिट देगा, पर कम देगा.
Yeah, so in case if you guys are looking to short something against some longs or something, I think L&T should be one of the player to short. A relative short. See, I always believe, okay, I always believe that it has to be your view. या तो तेजी करो या तो बंदी करो, उसमें ही पैसा बनता है. लॉन्ग और शॉर्ट तो कभी पैसा नहीं बनेगा. इट इज ऑलवेज योर व्यू, और अगर व्यू राइट गया तो ही पैसा बनता है. अगर आप लॉन्ग करो करो तो कभी
बिल्कुल मानता हूं. और मैं आई कैरी अ टॉप डाउन अप्रोच. तो मैंने ओवरऑल बोला कि टेक मेरे को वीक लग रहा है, उसमें HCL सबसे ज्यादा वीक लगता है मेरे को. एंड आई हैव बीन शॉर्टिंग HCL और अभी तक काफी अच्छा चल रहा है. दिस वाज अ गुड टाइम. उसके बाद थोड़ा सा अभी आया. अगर ये दोबारा शुरू हो जाता है, आई थिंक देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ स्कोप. सो या आई विल ठीक है आप L&T कह रहे हो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट इंडिविजुअल कंपनी सिचुएशन. यहाँ एक हम ऐसे बात कर रहे हैं, सेक्टर भी वीक है और उसमें सबसे वीकेस्ट कंपनी निकाल लो. दैट इज माय अप्रोच.
बहुत ही अच्छा, वो भी अच्छा।
Great, guys. I think we had very deep discussions. We went in different tangents and brought back some good insights. Want to continue this next Sunday with more themes and all. If you have ideas and you want to pick up a section, we can dedicate
तो
time for you. Let me know.
एक चीज मुझे क्लियर कर दीजिए लास्ट में, जैसे कि आगे का वो जो आप दिखाते हैं ना मुझे लैगर्स का और उसका एक स्क्वायर टाइप 4 स्क्वायर्स, उस पे
Yes.
उस चार्ट पे जाएंगे जरा, गो ऑन टू दैट चार्ट।
तो मैंने अभी गॉडफ्री फिलिप्स वहीं से उठाया था सर।
हमने वो
एफएमसीजी मेरे को
उस चार्ट में मैंने एक सवाल करना आपको, ये जो
हाँ
चार
जी,
स्क्वायर्स आपने आप उसको खुद ये जो आप इसका टाइम शेड्यूल कितना है?
सर 1 वीक। ये
मुझे एक बार
प्रीवियस
देखना
वीक था, ये प्रीवियस वीक था, ये इस वीक का है जो लेटेस्ट किया है, ये उससे पीछे
इसमें से अगर आपको 6 मंथ्स का देखना है तो कैसे देखेंगे लास्ट 6 मंथ्स का? वो नहीं
सर
हो पाएगा।
वो हो पाएगा,
उससे
लेकिन अभी
वो
इमीडिएटली
जब आप हाँ, उसका कारण मैं इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ कि जो हम फ्यूचरिस्टिक बात कर रहे हैं ना कि शोइंग द डायरेक्शन ऑफ ट्रेंड, तो आप उसको उतने पीछे चलिए।
सर इसमें जो कलर कोड है ना, जो आप कलर कोड देख रहे हैं,
हाँ वही मैं कह रहा हूँ कि
दैट इज अ रिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ 2 मंथ पीरियड, 2 मंथ्स पीरियड कलर कोड जो मैं दिखा रहा हूँ। हाँ जी, 6 मंथ्स का नहीं, मतलब कर सकते हैं बट 6 मंथ्स का नहीं है, बट इतना पीछे जाके क्या क्या मिलेगा?
हमको डायरेक्शन मिलेगा ट्रेंड।
ओके,
हाँ वी विल गेट मोर देन इफ 6 मंथ्स चलेंगे हम। 6 मंथ्स का मतलब हो जाए जनवरी से अभी तक चलेंगे तो भी 4 महीने हो गए, एक क्वार्टर हो गया, तो गो स्टार्ट फ्रॉम सितंबर अक्टूबर द मार्केट वाज हाई। हाई वाज 830 ना, 18300 वाज द हाईएस्ट ना। स्टार्ट फ्रॉम देयर 600 तो बहुत पहले था। हाँ 18600 वहां से भी कर लीजिए, वहां से एक ट्रेंड बना लीजिए और एक ट्रेंड आप 6 मंथ्स के बाद बनाइए, फिर देखिए कि दोनों कंपेयर करके ट्रेंड कैसे कोइंसाइड करता है, कोरिलेट।
ठीक है,
क्योंकि इसमें से क्या पीछे वाला देख नहीं पा रहे कि ये कहां से जंप हुआ है, कितने दिन में हुआ है, क्योंकि एक मैन पे 20 डेज ट्रेड होता है बस। 6 मंथ्स का मतलब 120 डेज।
सर उसका वही होता है कि अगर हम उसे हर हफ्ते देखेंगे ना तो उसका
नहीं, हर हफ्ते
इम्पैक्ट
नहीं
हमें
देखना
दिखता नहीं है। दैट इज द अगेन अ
हाँ,
चैलेंज। सो
आप
रियली
लोग
वंस अ मंथ हम
आप
एक
ये-
ऐसा व्यू देख लेते हैं, वंस अ मंथ,
हाँ,
ताकि
तो आप
कुछ
उसको
सब्सटेंशियल इनोवेट हो सकता है।
एक वीक आप पिछली नेक्स्ट वीक में आप जो करेंगे संडे को ना वो दिखाएगा 1604 से लेकर के अभी तक, और उस वीक का कहाँ है। जैसे आप वो ग्राफ बनाते हैं ना, ग्राफ में देखते हैं ना 1 डे 1 आवर मिनट्स आ करके, फिर 1 डे 5 डेज करके, वीकली या मंथली क्वार्टरली आता है ना, दैट गिव्स द डायरेक्शन एंड ट्रेंड, देन यू मेक द ग्राफ एंड द चैनल। उसी तरह स्टॉक्स में करना है आपने, सेक्टर्स में।
Okay, we'll try if that functionality is possible, but definitely time frame पीछे करना तो is
बनाकर एक ग्राफ है वो, एक ग्राफ आपने दिखाया था, तो मल्टीपल ग्राफ दिखाया, निफ्टी कहाँ पर है, कहाँ पे कौन सा आईटी सेक्टर वाला, जिसमें मल्टी कलर्ड ग्राफ्स है ना आपके पास, मल्टी लाइन।
index performance from 52-week
वो
gap
इंडेक्स परफॉर्मेंस का था। अच्छा, वो इंडेक्स परफॉर्मेंस का था, नॉट ऑफ सेक्टर्स, इज इट?
हाँ हाँ, बट वो सेक्टर ही है ना, इंडेक्स और सेक्टर एक ही बात है।
तो ये कितने दिन का है?
सर ये
I think it's
52
referring
वीक
to
एक
slide
होगा ना।
15 and 16.
हाँ, ये व्हाट इज दिस? दिस इज सिंस अप्रैल 2020 ना,
दिस इज सिंस अप्रैल 2020, तो 2 साल, और ये है 1 साल।
ये क्या चीज सेक्टर वाइज है?
हाँ सर, ये सेक्टर वाइज है।
हाँ, ये सेक्टर वाइज है ना। हाँ, तो थोड़ा इसमें इसी में वो उसको आपने सुपर इम्पोज करना है जो आप वहां दिखा रहे थे स्क्वायर्स में।
Okay, let me see if there are some insights coming up. Of
No,
course,
you are getting what I'm saying. That's
हाँ,
it.
डेटा को जिस एंगल से देखा जाए, there is obviously something new that
हाँ,
comes
that's
up.
the point. वही एप्रिसिएशन होता है, that is appreciation, that is analysis.
बट ये
I think,
बताइए सर, पावर
उसी
सेक्टर
को
का हमने
question
नहीं लिया, पावर का जो हम लोग
we'll figure
क्योंकि
out if we can take out week on week performance.
see, we can do that on the fly because this is a trading view thing, right? If I keep dragging the time frame, I can get it right away. That's not an issue, right? The thing is,
डायरेक्शन
do we have a story around it? अगर सपोज मुझे ये मीडिया ऊपर जाता हुआ दिखाई दे जाए significantly, okay, of course I know the number of constituents in that index is very few, right? It is being driven by two sectors mainly. Sorry, two stocks only, Z and PVR.
peers हो गए जैसे
है ना?
आपका होता है ना कि फर्स्ट इज सेक्टर इंडिसेस के peers
हम्म,
उस इंडिसेस को कौन से peers है जो मूव कर रहे हैं और peers डेली मूव करते हैं तो वो जो peers है आप इंडिसेस का 6 मंथ से करिए 18604 से
Let me have a look.
हाँ,
I got your
वो
point. Got your
हाँ
point.
इस इंडिसेस के peers बैंक्स के 12 peers हैं 12 peers में कौन से बैंक्स कैसे मूव किए 6 महीने में कहां पर है निफ्टी के 50 peers हैं 50 peers 50 कहां मूव हुए हैं
एक ये पिछला व्यू मैंने जो आपको दिखाया था, आई डोंट नो इफ यू गाइस रिकॉल,
उससे जो आपने ये विक्रम और ये बोले थे ना
अक्टूबर 2021 से था,
वो
अक्टूबर
समझ
21 से था। देखिए इसी टाइप का व्यू आप कह रहे हैं, 6 मंथ व्यू हमने नियरली 4 मंथ्स व्यू पकड़ा, इसी में हमने
हाँ।
अर्ली पकड़ लिया, पावर ऊपर भाग रहा है अर्ली, दिस इज यू नो समवेयर इन द मिडल ऑफ सॉरी टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ फरवरी, और अब तो हमें पता ही है पावर हमने 30% जंप देख लिया फ्रॉम दिस पॉइंट. So if this what you are saying, we can obviously keep a check on.
Now we have to keep a check on this. Correct. इसमें से कौन-कौन से पावर के peers कौन-कौन से जो पुल कर रहे हैं, उनका 6 महीने में कहां से कहां पहुंचे. That will become peers will become specific.
Okay.
Peers are like stocks and funds, whatever you call.
ठीक है, we'll keep a slide on this and keep
Yes.
watching this. Month on month देखना ज्यादा better है.
Correct.
So,
First show that thing from 1604, 604, then peers.
Cool.
That's all required.
cool. Let's keep that as an agenda.
Thank you all. Thanks a lot.
Thank you guys. It's been really interesting discussion, getting more ideas. I hope you also enjoyed the session today and got some ideas for investment. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you again next Sunday.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sumit, for inviting me, and thank you, everyone. Had a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Monil. Thank you, Rahul ji, Yorker, Ashmita, Anay, Abhishek, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.